everyone, and welcome to RezoCast episode 126. This is Lego, and I've got with me Hove, Triton, Wilson, and our special guest this week from Resolute, we've got Wendler. What's up, man? How's it going, Wendler? We got the slow down.
Yeah, you know this is a podcast. It's audio. You can't just dab.
I don't know what audio is.
I know.
Apparently, because he thinks you watch audio, so we had to let him know afterwards.
Can I tell you very quickly, being the podcast Twitter boss, I had a really good opportunity to do something that would have been very funny and played into our usual weekly talk about Wendler. But I was professional because I'm a professional. I don't know if you guys knew that. I'm very professional.
Okay. Yeah, you have emotes now. You're a professional.
Yeah, I'm a professional at everything.
Yeah.
But what I was going to do, for anyone who doesn't know, Chad Lantis, a good friend of ours, is currently on DCP this evening, and a bunch of us stopped in there. We were, chatting with them as the show started, but we didn't know that, ahead of time till they announced it. So I was announcing our tweet not long after that we're going to have Wendler on, and I had it all typed out even. So I say, this week on RezoCast, episode 126, we welcome Wendler to the show. So you should probably just go watch DCP instead because Chad Lantis is awesome. But I didn't because I'm professional.
You are professional. I want to give a shout out real quick to Chad on DCP too, because I was listening to him and he was killing it. Like,
of course he was.
He was
the
talking.
People's champ.
Yeah, exactly. He's the people's champ.
Dude.
Right. I forgot.
He's the freaking man.
But also, like, people in chat, like, as he was talking, were already like, oh, that's a really good point. I never thought about it like that before. And I was like, yeah, that's right. I knew he'd kill it. So that's awesome. Glad to have him over here. But also glad to have Wendler here. And I'm excited to just, I know I am.
Are we, though?
Yes. I am. For lots of different reasons. But mainly, like, just this week in Destiny has been really exciting for me personally. I'm wondering, like, where y'all are at with everything, because for me the Gambit Prime experience has been really fun. We talked about it some last week, but I'm really digging Gambit Prime. I'm actually digging the Reckoning a lot more than I was last week, with tier 2 out now, tier 3 tomorrow, but getting to experience what it, as it gets fleshed out, what it looks like, and then also just the Thorn quest and the Allegiance stuff. Like, there's just a lot of stuff this week. So Wendler, let's start with you, man. Where are you at this week with everything? How are you enjoying Season of the Drifter?
We can't tell because it's so goddamn dark where he's at.
Dude, I like the look. It's like mysterious.
I'm loving Season of the Drifter so far. I think the content is a lot more packed in than Black Armory was. I had a few issues with Black Armory where it was just a little too spaced out at certain points. The power catch-up bounties have been huge, especially on PC. I've been able to... I think my PC character level is already matching my console character level in the matter of 2 weeks. So that was a huge boost. I just think everything in this DLC, like, even though it's Gambit focus, is just really good with catching people up and preparing you for whatever they're coming out with next season. So between that and then just division grinding, it's been a good week.
So what light or power did you start at that you were using the catch up bounties? Were you significantly under 640 on PC?
I was around 500.
Okay, because the question I want to ask, I was at like 638 on the character I started on, so all of mine were just 640, like, because I just did a couple just to see what they were like. Were they? Is that how were they 640? No matter what.
So it's just 640 blue, and it's one for every slot.
So okay.
And it took me maybe an hour and a half to get
right,
all
because
of them
that's
done.
You're eliminating pretty much the RNG. You're saying, listen, I need this piece. I'm gonna go get it. It's 640. Okay, I like that. Because I did, like I said, I was close enough that no matter how they were structured, they were gonna be 640 for me. So I wasn't sure if they were just a large jump from your current power or if they were just automatically 640.
Yeah, like it was a large enough jump, and then I still had a bunch of milestones left, and then I raided twice within like the past week. So
remember that time we tried to raid?
No.
It didn't go well.
That's probably why I don't remember it.
You rage quit.
Oh, was that Spire?
Yeah, it was me, you,
Oh.
Mana. Somebody kept you kept arguing with someone and then you freaked out, but whatever. How about the rest of you guys? What have you been thinking about Season of the Drifter?
I've been playing it a lot. I got to agree with Winnie that it feels like there's more to do, but then again, I didn't really take Season of the Forge too seriously, so I'm still kind of catching up. The past 2 weeks have been awesome. I had to write a little post-it note here of all the cool stuff I've gotten.
It must be a lot if
So-
it fit on a small
Look at
post-it
Wilson
note.
taking notes.
I got a curated SMG and shotgun from Gambit Prime. From
Nice.
doing cool things like ward cliffing invaders. It's my new favorite thing to do. It's amazing. It's the only thing I keep heavy for. I don't even damage the boss with it. I just save
Dude.
it for invaders.
You got something cool for Wardcliff too, didn't you?
I did. I got the catalyst so I can even be more
Sweet.
toxic, dude. Tracking toxic with Wardcliff. It's gonna be great. Then I got the sniper from Gambit, not curated, but I got snapshot, slide shot, and armor piercing. So the snap and slide are really good for PvP. I like those a lot. It feels really good. It's very the handling on it is really good. Got Thorn, of course. Got Recluse. I got the Vanguard Scout, and then I finally got my Breakneck done because they moved that over this week to Gambit Prime. So I was able to get my last 10 games done because it was I wanted to get Breakneck, but I was 10 games of regular Gambit? That could potentially be 30 rounds.
Could be 3
Then they
days.
changed-
Yes.
I did jump into a game, though, of regular Gambit, and it did go to a stalemate, so then it was the boss rush.
Oh yeah.
That was really cool. It was really cool. The other team freaked out and just started damaging their boss and forgot that the portals are up both ways.
Yeah.
And I just hopped through, popped my 6-shot Goldie, cleaned a bunch of them up, and I was trying to find the last guy. And our team, it must have been 3 warlocks because our primeval just got jacked right after that. It went down so quick. So I was like, oh, that's cool.
Do they
I
have
did-
any of the mechanics carry over, or is it just a burn? For the boss, for the primeval?
I think the envoys spawn in normal. I think it's
Yeah,
just
it's
a
just a-
normal.
So it's
boss
just
rush.
regular. You can burn him if you can.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the portals are. I think the portals are just up at all times. I'm not sure.
That's
but
how I
ours
am.
were up. Ours were up right away, so I just hopped through, popped golden gun, got some kills. It was cool, but Gambit Prime is freaking dope.
I do
dude.
really
I'm
like
abs-
Gambit Prime.
I'm absolutely loving it. I got up to 2600 in comp. I'm thinking about going for Not Forgotten this season, but I don't know, dude. It's super hard.
2,600. Jesus.
Dude, he
Yeah.
got up there, man.
Dude, shout outs to Will in chat, dude. So I played with Lego and got to 1,000 on day 1 of Season of the Drifter. Solo queued, lost 400 points. And Will got me he played with me from 600 all the way up to 2,100 till I got the SMG. And it was cool. It was carrying hard. I was just following him and Merc around, just trying to get a shot on stuff. So
Speaking
Dude,
of-
shout-outs to them.
Merc is a killer, dude.
Speaking
Yeah,
of
he
Will,
is.
I got home today from work and I went out to dinner, and I'm sitting at dinner and I hear my phone do the PlayStation invite noise. I'm like,
Yeah.
what's going on? And it was Will messaged me and said, "Hey, do you want to do comp?" And I was like, "Fuck." I was like, "My bad, dude. I guess I left my PlayStation on. I was in the tower, just sitting there." So I already told you, but my bad. Well, I wasn't avoiding you. I was not anywhere near my house.
Oh man.
That's a gag. But yeah, it's been action packed, dude. Been grinding hard. Love it.
Yeah,
Dude, I feel the same. Go ahead. You first, Tove.
what a gentleman.
You know, that's what gentlemen do, Hove. They side with the Vanguard. They let their co-host go first. You know.
But I'm a professional. So I've really been liking it. Gambit Prime's been a ton of fun. I've kind of been going back and forth, and one thing I specifically don't want to kind of blow through everything because the way we're doing this. So what I've been doing, I've still been doing at least a couple milestones when I get home from work, old school stuff just to bump up my level some, and then I generally either do a few Gambit Primes or a few Reckonings or a little bit of progress on the Thorn quest or whatever. So I haven't completed anything, but I'm on the last step of the Thorn quest. I'm most of the way through the Allegiance quest. Somebody has a bunch of crazy sound going on in their mic right now. You don't hear that? Nothing?
No, I don't hear that.
No, man. You all right? You freaking out?
Am I high? Wilson, is this what it's like to be high?
Yeah, sometimes.
Wow.
Sometimes you hear shit. Anyway, continue.
Well, I don't even know where I'm at now. But no, I've been really enjoying it. I did get my last word finally since I hadn't played through that part. You know, I kind of took a break for a little bit. But yeah, I'm kind of just.
Yeah, how did it feel?
You know, it's good and it's fun because it's still totally unique, but I still don't think it's even as good as it was at the end of D1. Gotcha. I feel like it's better hipfire even from range. Like when I ADS, I'm hoping that it hits something.
Yeah. The recoil's crazy.
By the way, everybody in chat hears the crazy sound.
Oh, really?
I don't know what that is.
Yeah, I think it might just be through
That's not feedback from me. It might just be feedback.
It's not feedback. It sounds like noise coming through a microphone.
I hear it every so often right there. It's like someone's noise gate is picking it up, is what it sounds like.
I've been muted this whole time.
Yeah.
Everybody test.
Because I will. Yeah, it sounds like air conditioning or a washer or dryer. Whatever.
That's weird. I don't know.
Very possible it's the PlayStation downloading the Division 2, this 45 gig monster. I can't imagine it's that loud, but that's
it's windy outside. I don't know. Anyway, Leo's got some editing to do now.
Yep. Where were we at just now?
We were talking about the last word.
Last word.
Yeah.
I don't know. I highly suggest to anyone that still thinks about Year 3 D1 to go download it and shoot guns because it feels like crap.
Really?
Yes. Like, Hunter movement in D2 is night and day better than it ever was in D1, even with bones. Triple jump Hunter with no stompies, nothing, feels better than Bones does. There's some things that are missing still, like Twilight Garrison and skating.
And lights in your room.
But, like, last word in D1, I honestly think D2 last word is night and day better than D1.
Well, and that's where our guest lost all credibility.
Shotguns are worse in D1 than they are in D2.
Yeah,
Snipers have the handling in D1, but everything just felt like crap in comparison.
That's really interesting.
Like, it wasn't what you go back to expect. So
I feel that to a degree with like I hear a lot of people say or I've heard some people say that fusion rifles were better in D1, and I was like, oh man, dude, I can hit so much further. Like every once in a while something magical will happen, but for the most part, D2 fusions are so good. And then also having just got Thorn this week, I really like Thorn a lot. Like,
yeah, I love the Thorn personally.
Dude, it's so, and for me, like I've been looking for that kind of mid-range killer that is in the primary kinetic slot, and I couldn't find, like, the last word didn't really fit that because my fusion rifle is good for the close to like medium range, and then I need something that could hit further than that and sometime medium range to clean up a kill, and like last word just wouldn't do it for me paired with the fusion rifle.
The other thing about D1, like everyone wants Anomaly and Cauldron back. When you go back and play those maps, you realize how small they actually are, and they would be horrible for D2's current state. Like things like Exodus Blue and Rusted Lands or Widow's Court, they would be solid from their size.
Yeah.
But if they were to put Anomaly or Cauldron into D2 with the current state of how good shotguns are, it would not be a fun time.
Widow's Court.
I've been wanting Widow's Court for a while.
Yeah.
I'd rather take Widow's Court over Pantheon like any day of the week.
Yeah.
I love Widow's Court.
Did any of you guys get a chance to try out the Reckoning version 2, tier 2?
I did, yeah.
Dude, me and Wilson were running it today some as well. And dude, I love the way that it grows and turns into something more. I guess if you haven't experienced it yet, you know, I won't spoil everything, but there's like basically 2 new sections that open up that are pretty different than the first area and have completely different mechanics than what, because the first area is more like a blind well, and the second 2, it's more like what the devs kind of hinted at, that it's like they said think of the Dark Below.
Keep moving.
Yeah, where you keep moving. And dude, you definitely, both of them in some way or another have to keep moving. And we found ourselves, me and Wilson today, actually, we were running with Pope trying to get a tier 2 done. And Pope wasn't leveled up at all. And so
struggling.
Yeah, he was struggling. And so we had to like come up with different strategies to like make it through these phases, and we had 3 titans, and we were like, what can we do to like make the most of this situation? And we really got it working. We almost we got through the phase that we were really struggling on, and then we just decided to go play some Gambit Prime. But if we were able to sit down and strategize, like you can really come up with some cool concepts to get you through certain aspects of it, and it kind of makes it feel like a mini raid, like a Crota's in kind of raid. So
it makes me hype for like part 3.
Yes,
whatever part 3 is.
Agreed. I think that's gonna be super intense, because like 2 is, man, like I'm popping tethers, we're communicating with orbs, getting reses. I got Pope and Lego were doing the Sentinel shields, just blocking each side.
2 different sides. Yeah,
it was so much fun, man. And tier 3 is gonna be dope. But I was lucky enough to actually accomplish one tier 2.
Same, yeah.
Last week,
I got a few done. Yeah,
I was with Marcus and Spiffy and I think it was Quick Bunny. Actually, he was super underleveled too.
Nice.
But we ran out of time. There was like 1 second left, and Marcus threw a Hail Mary Nova, and for whatever reason, dude, it just wrecked the fucking shop, dude, and took both of them out. And I actually got the curated scout from that, which is
nice.
All these curated weapons are built centered around Gambit. So if you're looking for something good in PvP, the curated roles really aren't for you. They're really, really centered around Gambit.
I think the sniper is the only one where there's an exception, because it's Snapshot Outlaw.
Yeah.
Curated on the sniper,
which is nasty.
And it's a 90 RPM, so it's adaptive.
Yeah.
But yeah, like
I got the snapshot slide shot, so I just love it. You're just sliding into ammo and just coming around.
I got swashbuckler. I think it's one where your melee or gun kills give you gun damage, but I didn't find it to be that significant, because what it is, it's like a rampage. It's like another rampage for the gun. So I had it on a sidearm. And the sidearms normally was like a 5-shot, but with swashbuckler, if you got a melee kill, it would give you max stacks, and then you could 3-shot with the sidearm. Otherwise, if you're going for just pure weapon kills, it would build up a stack per kill, and they had to be rapid like Rampage. So there's another interesting Rampage-esque perk.
That's the one that buffs your melee, right?
Not your melee. So like if you, I don't know, it might not be called swashbuckler, but the perk was if you get a melee kill. If you get a melee kill, it gave you max stacks of it, max out at 5. Otherwise, if you got gun kills, it would go up by 1, and it would buff the damage output out of your gun.
There's one for shotguns that if you
that's what I got.
A bunch of your pellets, it buffs your melee, and I'm really curious to know how that performs in PvP, maybe going up against like a super.
It's actually you need to check out Sheik's video on it.
Of course.
Yeah, I know, dude. He had one where he was using that in combination with something else to like punch people out of their supers.
Syntheseps, probably.
No,
I think. That was the hunter.
Gauntlets.
The hunter gauntlets. But he also was testing the shotgun one and said it was pretty good as well.
I wonder if it's really good at countering some supers, because it's really frustrating when they're in the animation and you shotgun melee them, and it just sets you up for failure. I'm really hoping that. I'm sure there's a resilience cap somewhere in there, but it'd be really cool if this perk could help like combat that.
Yeah. Well, I'm not the best shotgunner in the world, but I did get that's the one gun I got to drop for me the first time I finished tier 2, which I did with a bunch of randoms. So it is possible. Like I don't want people, and that's what's cool about this is if you go solo, it's still match made, and you just have to get in the right lobby with people that know what they're doing. Don't get frustrated. Just have fun with it. You know, if a group doesn't work out, leave, try a different group. And eventually, I got a group that was just rolling, and we went through like 3 or 4 times. Like, especially it's easy if you have a Titan with a shield, Hunter with a tether, and a Warlock with the well of Radiance. Like, those things like combined just make it so much easier. So definitely try to get a variety in your loadout.
What happens when all those powers combine?
You
summon Captain Planet.
Yes.
There's a
yeah, man.
There's a triumph.
Dibs
to
on
do
fire.
that second part with
Heart.
no super.
No one wanted to be Monty. That guy sucked.
There's a triumph.
And Triton is here.
Yeah. Hey, come on! I haven't played the game, so I gotta add something. So yeah.
That's great.
There's a triumph to do the bridge portion with no supers.
Oh, dang, really? You're gonna have to get up there to be able to do that, I feel like.
Yeah.
Trying
That'll
to think
be
how you would
interesting.
even get that done.
You
You just
have
get
to-
the 700 light and blow through it.
Speaking of triumphs, I
Power.
got the D1. It's not called Phantom anymore.
Yeah.
Ghost in the Night.
Yeah, I got that today. It was
I
lit.
think that's cooler. Goes.
I was sniping fools. It was great.
Ooh. Is there a
Yeah,
lot
it
of
was fun.
is there a lot of arc damage on that bridge?
Yes.
Risk
Yeah,
runner
it,
fam.
it depends. It depends on the enemy type. The enemy
Okay,
type
dude.
rotates.
Can I talk about how it depends real quick? Because depending on what the enemy type is, there's always like a ultra, basically, like 3 of them that keep spawning, and it's either a witch, an ogre, or it could be the phalanx guys with the giant shields. And when the shield guys
Dicks.
are up, oh my gosh, that can be so annoying.
It can
I
be
got
the
knocked
standard
off the
Cabal,
map
too.
so many times.
We recovered from it though. Like I had
We did.
tethers for days, dude. Orpheus rig. Have a hunter with Orpheus rig with you, dude. And like, just because you get your tether back right away, fuck it, man. Throw another one out there, dude. Like, just start dropping shit like a pigeon when it comes to orbs, dude. Like, because it's great, man. Because there was a few instances where like something went awry and not everyone had enough like super energy for their next super, and luckily there was enough orbs laying around that you could pick up for it. But dude, the tether was on point. Like, it's a lot of fun. I'm excited for tier 3. I hope it's
Armament
super
mods.
hard, and I hope there's some cool bosses in there from what I've heard potentially.
Oh, that would be cool. I didn't even think
Sounds
about
dope.
that. But yeah, tier 3 probably does have some boss. Well, I didn't think I would like the loop, and I'm still not sure. I said last week I liked it. I still like it. I like Reckoning even more than I did. Gambit Prime has been really fun. Are y'all rocking any of the gear you got from Reckoning with like the perks that you get? And what, if so, like what class do y'all like running? Wilson, I think you were running with nothing.
I don't. Are you talking about Gambit?
Yeah.
Armor. Yeah, I just run the PvP loadout for shotgun scavenger, stuff like that, enhanced hand cannon targeting, those kind of things. Wardcliff coil, your typical sweaty starter kit. However, I do take my mods very seriously, so I do have a set for all the take-in, repurposing, blah blah blah, all the mods that give you the super broken shit back, like heavy brick drops, grenades, and stuff like that. I have a damn good time, man. As long as I got Wardcliff in, dude, I'm ready to rumble. Like, come invade, come at me.
I found, well, quickly, one, I have almost a full set of Reaper armor that I use. I just don't have
That's
the helmet.
my favorite.
And you know what? I got it that night. That first time we went in there, we did what, like 4 or 5 runs just quickly through Tier 1 Reckoning, and I got all of it. Like, I didn't really have to grind or anything. But quickly, like you were talking about, you know, your loadout and invaders and stuff. I've found I really, really like Polaris Lance in Gambit Prime because A, I feel like a scout is really useful for when invaders come through, and 2, even on times where if I've run out of special and heavy, as long as you're hitting the headshots, you can still do pretty damn good damage against the Primeval with Polaris Lance. That's like my go-to. Like, I hadn't pulled it out of the vault in a while,
That's sweet.
but I got it out and brought that right up in power because
It's really good
it's really
now.
good,
They buffed them. It's actually really good in PvP as well.
Really?
On maps that allow for scouts. Like, what's the one everyone hates that's in the new Trials area?
Oh,
Equinox?
Yeah.
Equinox, is that it, Winnie?
Yeah, the one outside.
Oh, the flat map.
Yeah.
That's like
So
building
it's
blocks.
it's disgusting on that map. However, Hope, did you ever like hung jury back in the day in D1?
I did.
I was never on the hung jury train. I used
Cryptic Dragon, because that was awesome.
at one point. When
Chihuahua.
I got Cryptic Dragon, I had one that was really good, and I forget what other scout I used. But
Because
Iron
the
Banner
new
Scout.
Vanguard Scout reminds me a lot of like hung
really?
jury with a firefly on it. So like a lot. So I didn't know if that was something you're interested in.
I heard someone
so.
start using it, and I was like, "Is that Talalok? What's happening?"
I love that gun.
Wasn't
Dude, I missed that
Wilson, weren't you using Malfeasance?
Oh,
Doing pretty good with it?
dude, low key. Like, I mean, this isn't low key. I think everybody that like has
Cool, man.
Plays Gambit.
played Gambit knows, dude. Malfeasance is so gross, dude. I did, was it like 30% damage on
With
the
just
Malfeasance?
was
Lego had a
crazy.
barricade up. I had no heavy. The new map, which I'm sure we'll get into,
Oh,
the
yeah, we
range
need
is
to talk
very
about that.
far, so shotguns not always the case. Sometimes you can get them within shotgun range depending on where what boss you get. Some of them roam more than others. But dude, I went Malfeasance. You get that bonus on people who invade. So if my Wardcliff fails me, I have my Malfeasance as a backup if I'm not running it. That's the only trade-off. You can't run Wardcliff. However, you
Right.
do get a damage bonus on invaders. But that last phase, when you summon the Primeval, it's just taken everywhere, man. And I felt like Malfeasance was just, I just never switched to another weapon. I was just cleaning stuff up with that, like telling people to save their heavy on the envoys because you just
Yeah.
wipe them out and like
That
half a mag.
helps. That's
It's
I've
really
been
good.
running Invader set,
Oh yeah.
and then I run Izanagi as my exotic.
Of course
Oh,
you
yeah.
do.
people
That
were
thing's
taking me
nasty.
out with that. Yeah.
The thing's nasty.
And people think it's OP. I personally don't. Main reason being you got to sacrifice even with the invader perks of you getting funded ammo. Once people learn the maps, and I have to burn essentially 4 rounds, and I make it count for 1, and then I have to compensate for reload. And when you're
Mhm.
playing, especially with the Gambit changes, which I'm sure we can jump into with the news today that they updated on how Gambit matchmaking works. Once you get better teams, you're maybe going to get one shot off with an Izanagi that's a body shot, and then after that, the team's going to have you called out, especially when you calculate even more things like the Sentry perk, where doing 1 damage marks the invader on the map for everybody, and you have all the other perks that we'll start getting into. So, but it's a fun loadout for sure.
With the Invader set, what are the perks that you like about it? Because it's interesting to hear, like, because as somebody who is only playing Reaper right now and tried out Sentry, what do you like about Invader?
Well, the one cool thing is, depending on how many kills I get on my invade, I get like a Rampage-esque buff on my way out. So I can use that to push and help clear in the meantime. The other thing that I personally like about, I guess it just deals with the invader role in general, is I can leave heavy for my teammates because I have Izanagi that I use to go in with, or any sniper. So there's that. The other thing on invasions, I get primary and special ammo funded over time. So that's a cool perk. And then I get a little bit stronger overshield on invasions as well. And that's the set of 3.
How
Based on what the 4th bonus is.
how does the special
I know what the
ammo-
4th bonus is. Sorry. I
Mm.
don't. No one has it. No one has it yet because
Gotcha.
the tier 3 armor. But when you invade, it locks the bank down and drains moats.
That's pretty cool.
That's
So what I
pretty
think is going to happen later on, once people get this set, is you'll see people running Titan bubble, and they'll go up and they'll bubble with Saint 14 helmet. So if people go in, they're blind, and that way it drains the moats out. So people will have to either burn a super on it to counter, or they'll have to find a way to combat that. I think that'll be a strat that will probably come out from it.
That's interesting.
Do you
I like
get a
that-
lot of special from that drip when you're invading, or like is it not very fast?
It's hard to say. I'm not really paying attention to it, but it seems
Yeah.
like enough in the moment. Like between that and then the ammo fueling from just general clearing of ads, I'm usually, unless I just have like really bad luck, I'm going in with maybe 14 rounds of special every time, and that's with like reserves and sniper scavenger on. So I'm fully
Yeah.
spec'd out for it.
So for me, like running at first, I thought Sentry was going to be my main go-to because that was the most like kind of not coins, but and not moats since I was getting every game because I do certain things and it kept giving me Sentry stuff, and I was like, well, okay, I guess I should go Sentry. And then when I started running it, I was like, these perks don't really help that much because the first one is like the stacking against taken damage, and I just every time you killed like I normally kill one of the taken in like 2 shots with because I run double special, so I run the mountaintop and Jotun and then a tracking rocket.
He barely uses either. He's constantly smashing people from the sky. Constantly.
And so just those perks didn't work very well for me. But then I switched to the Reaper set, and I did enough tier 2 reckoning that I have 3 pieces of tier 2 armor, 1 piece of tier 1, and then I can pop a synth, and that gives me 10 like basically plus 10 of the Reaper, which gives me 3 perks. So my moats last longer when I kill. I get special ammo for my teammates on double kills, which I'm always doing with the Titan Slam. And I forget what the third one's kind of like whatever. I can't remember what it is. But those 2 things alone are just like, man, I am doing a lot of help for my team in both of those ways. So I really enjoy the Reaper kit a lot. I don't really think the 4th perk is going to be much for me because it's like, what is it? You get, I just had it on the top of my head, and then grenade recharge rate for whenever you like kill taken or something like that. And it's
Don't sleep on the grenades, man. The grenades are baller, dude.
I guess it depends on what that rate's like, because the rates for most of this stuff isn't a lot. Whereas the more ammo is like really important, I feel like, for your
You just
team.
need to run flashbang and embrace that grenade on that class, dude. Flashbang is so much fun, dude. When they have mayhem around Lego, throw on flashbang and you'll have such a damn good time.
I do
dude.
love the flashbang.
I have a clip of flashbang and a golden gun, and I'm within melee range of him, and he shoots all 6 shots of his Goldie, and it's like the cartoon where it makes like the frame of like someone shooting around him, and then I just punched him right in the face and I let him get all 6 shots off. And
love that.
You can have some fun. You can get some funny clips with that, dude.
That
and
seems pretty ballsy,
dude.
To let him shoot all 6.
I got lucky. I was just laughing my ass off, dude. I was having a good time. I knew he was gonna.
Dude,
so
that reminds me of us laughing so much this week going for the Thorn quest, getting that done, and me and Wilson were running in the Crucible for so long, and I decided to switch to a suppressor nade Titan, and I've gotten to the point where I could I don't know what was happening, but Wilson, whatever he was doing, was coordinating perfectly with every play that I was making. We'd start a match and instantly wipe the whole team, and we were like, what just happened? Like, I think something to do with the new Sentinel class that has the little detonator things that when you like punch somebody or grenade somebody, it attaches these bombs to people, and Wilson would come in and do something as well, and everyone would die, and we'd be like, well, that's the team wipe.
It was great, like having supers chase me and like a fucking like a little brother asking for his big brother to bail him out of a fight. I'd come run into Lego and he'd throw a suppressor grenade and like turn on him. You know, it was a good time. I had like,
it was fun.
Normally I have music on that like kind of gets me pumped. That night I had like the most chill playlist going. Was laid back. Normally like I'm sitting forward, like leaning on my knees, and like we were just sitting back, and I think we played for 4 or 5 hours or something like that. Yeah. And it was a great time, man. We had an absolute blast. It was good. It was for the Thorn quest for the Void kills.
Yeah.
So I was rocking Icelios. Did a bunch of other shit that didn't matter as long as it was Void. Icelios was really nice for me because of the Rampage. I was digging it.
I did like that. Yeah.
We were having a damn good time. Yeah, that was fun. We were just straight chilling. It was the most chill session of slaying I think I've had in D2.
Well, I know we need to talk about the 3 things I kind of want to get to here are if we have any more thoughts about the Thorn quest. I thought it was implemented pretty well, but we can go into it if anybody else has any more thoughts about it. But other than that new Gambit map, a Gambit Prime map that was introduced, we haven't really talked about the layout of it all. And also, thirdly, wanted to talk about the story that we've been given. We had the Allegiance quest come up, and so we're not going to talk spoilers yet, but we will have a segment coming up. We'll warn you where we might talk for a second about spoiler stuff for that, because Wilson and Wendler have gone Drifter, and Lego here, of course, went Vanguard. And Hove probably went Drifter, let's be real. I don't know. He hadn't told me yet.
I did. A couple times I told you, but that's okay. Continue.
Train, who are you going to go with? I don't know. I can't guess.
Well, you could do it on different characters. I don't know. I think with the incentives, I'd probably do Drifter first, and then probably with the next character, just do Vanguard.
Yeah, I'm going to do Vanguard my second, because it specifically tells you that you can't get all the, all the lore or whatever.
I might be edgy and just do Drifter on all three, just to be that guy.
Dude, going all out.
I'm not a Triumph guy. Like, I could see coming from Triton's point where he's going to want those Triumphs for sure. If there's any Triumph associated with it, right? There won't be, but like a trophy.
But
or
you're not a
lore
guy?
Something.
You don't want to read the lore?
I mean, I could read it. Like, I'll find it online somewhere.
Right.
You know what I
mean?
Well,
then why do you... I mean, you don't even have to play then. You can just read it all online.
Listen to this guy. I can't even argue with that. That's fucking brilliant.
I did think it was interesting, though. There's been other times where... I can't think of any, but they've kind of alluded to, choices or whatever. But it wasn't so much our choice. It was in the game. Do you know what I mean? Like, we just played through. But this time, I thought it was really, really interesting that as you hovered over either Vanguard or Drifter, it told you specifically, this will be different, this will be different, this will be different. The Vanguard can get all the lore, Drifter can't. And then the very last one, it sounds more like they're up in the air, but it said something about, this could possibly affect gameplay down the road.
Down the road.
Which I thought was really interesting, because the one thing I said to Dewey right when we were signing on before we got to that part, don't you point at me, Wilson.
I wasn't. I was pointing at Gorniak, who said, "What? Even if there's catalysts in there, are you going to go?" And I was like, "Damn you."
Because I even said to him, I was like, the one thing they're not going to do that I don't think they would do is make it so that it kind of gives you two separate games, two separate stories, because I was like, that's with how big of a game Destiny is, that seems like that would be a little overkill. And then I sign on and it's like, oh, all of this is going to be different, and maybe down the road this could change the things you do. And I was kind of shocked by that, but interested.
Yeah,
I think that's awesome.
I think it's smart because it's character based.
Yep.
It's not account based.
Yeah,
so I think that makes a difference in where they could push it. The other cool thing too, which I don't know if you guys noticed when doing the Thorn quest, is when you go to Tyra, the very first line, and I'm pretty sure this is on veteran accounts only, but she makes a reference, said Saladin's young wolf wouldn't be wielding this weapon, or wouldn't wield a weapon like this. And she's like, but I guess whatever.
That's kind of why I went with, not the sole reason why I went with the Drifter, was because you go, there's only been a few people who recognize you in the game for who you are, and one of them's Shaxx, now her, like he was saying, and then the Drifter. Like, the Drifter knows you, knows what you've been up to, and makes references to it. And every time I go and turn in my tokens looking for that awesome service revolver to Zavala, he's just like, oh, hey, didn't see you there looking over my little perch. You know what I mean? And then it's like, he just has some cheesy line, you know what I mean? And whereas when you're playing the very first mission of Vanilla D2 and Shaxx opens that door and he's like, oh, Saladin's young wolf. It's like, oh, yes. I love that kind of stuff. Yes, I am Saladin's young wolf.
Counterpoint.
That's awesome that you recognize that.
Counterpoint.
Oh, here we go.
No, I'm serious. Because
me too.
You spend a lot of time, whether it be in story or whatever, with the Vanguard, right? So you kind of are already in with them, you know them. It would be like me coming on here and going Wilson pops in and I go, oh, Wilson, the man who smokes the most weed ever. Every time I see you.
Sometimes you do, dude. When you come in, I go Sir Hoverton the third.
We do
Sir
that.
Hoverton the third, longest of dongest, mother of dragons, slayer of orcs. I call you all that stuff.
But
and
that's
don't say I don't.
No. But that's that is built up, and that's for the effect. That's part of the joke, though. That's not an actual. Say when we were at Guardian Con, it's not like every time when we'd wake up in the morning, we'd all run out and fucking party that we were all be like, hey, what's up, man? Good morning. Do you know what I mean? Like you become like normalized with those people.
Every now and then, we'd lock eyes, and I'd say, "Hey, man, I appreciate you."
Well, like I think there's
Yeah,
a difference though in the power the character holds in the story, which is kind of what Wilson was alluding to. Like Shax mentions that you're a young wolf. Saladin doesn't even mention in D2 that you're anywhere.
Zavala?
No, Shax.
No,
Shax, the very first story.
No, and then you said Saladin, and I was asking.
Yeah,
if you
but
meant
he
Zavala.
doesn't either.
Does not. Saladin doesn't at all mention.
I understand that. I was just
anything.
clarifying on who you were talking about, motherfucker.
Whoa. So like when you go to Tyra and then she's speaking about the Thorn and she's like, a young wolf would never like use a weapon like this, but then she afterwards she rebuttals kind of, and she's like, well, I guess they said that you had to go through like you had to age the Thorn into darkness and you had to kill things, so maybe it's not as bad as people make it out to be. Like she has that initial like it's the Thorn, but then she rebuttals. But that power that holds of referencing what you have done in the past is huge.
I understand that, but that's a character you're talking to. I'm just saying that's a character that's like your greeting. That's the first time they've seen you in a while. It's the first time they've talked to you. Whereas the Vanguard is someone that like for instance, I don't know, Donald Trump. You know, if any of us saw him, regardless of what you think, he's the president. You were like, oh, hello, Mr. President, you've done this. You're the president. But, like, his family doesn't say that to him every time they see him. It's just like, hey, Don, like, or whatever. That's all I'm saying. Like, the people you talk to on a regular basis don't have to do that.
But then you hear stories about like Reza Lazir and how like every time he'd show up, people would be like, "Holy shit, man! Like that's Reza Lazir. Like he's
Shin Malfer."
Yeah, like all these people.
But not the people that are friends with them all the time. That's what I'm saying.
I don't want to say that I command respect. But damn it, I command some respect.
I wouldn't even say we're friends with the Vanguard though.
Not friends, but you see them all the time.
I don't know. Ikora says we're her friend.
I don't even know their middle name.
Like, you do this. Like, I don't know. I just think it's more objective than that. But
let me lay down like a different alternative approach, because I think that actually this could have gone a lot differently had it been Ikora who asked for our help, like when we side for the Vanguard and not Anor, because I think they purposely did not pick someone like Ikora because too many people would have sided with her because we have so much history. Whereas they bring this other character in, so you've got two new characters, and one has a little bit of like, well, they call it the Vanguard, and then the other one's the Drifter, and so you kind of like.
Well, there's a lore reason why Ikora didn't ask.
Yeah.
It's because Ikora and Zavala.
Well, I don't want to get too much into spoilers.
That's not really. That's just the lore book stuff.
Yeah.
That's not like anything in the future. Like when you go through the lore books, like I think it's 3 or 4. No, this was before that even. This was when Bungie was releasing the narrative previews, and it's Anor talking to Ikora, and Ikora pretty much admits that her and Zavala know what the Drifter's doing, and they're allowing it intentionally. But Anor is all freaked out and tried saying a bunch that we killed Cade and is doing all this extra work. Propaganda. So that's why. Because even in the, like, I think it's 4 up to 4, Anor speaks like, I know the Vanguard are allowing this, but you can't, blah, blah, blah. So it's.
Well, let's get, since we're already talking about it, before we talk about the Gambit Man and stuff.
Can I say one thing real quick?
Yeah.
I am pretty sure that Lego is the Drifter. Do you know how many times the Drifter called me punk in one thing? Like one sitting, he kept calling me a punk. I was like, that's Lego under that mask.
He is very smooth and takes a lot of forms. Are you saying that I'm like, I've got like charisma, Hove? Is that what you're saying?
No, absolutely not.
Okay, because that's
I'm saying that you're a liar. And you're not actually a nice guy.
Well, I think that there's some really, before we even get into spoiler stuff, just that initial choice, I wanted to go back to that real quick because I thought it was really well done. So one thing that I did, because I didn't want the tower music freaking distracting me anymore, so I turned my music off. I went and talked to the Drifter. I was like, I'm going to get into this. I think I'm going to choose the Vanguard, but I'm not sure. And when the Drifter talks to you for the first time and he gives you that spiel on like, I know you're up to something, you need to pick a side, and you're like, wait. And you're like, what do I do? Like, he's totally going to call me out. Like, he's intimidating, you know? And then on top of that, when you go to select which one you want to pick, there's this tone that goes over the Vanguard or Drifter one, and it's kind of like a darker tone and a lighter tone. Like it was like I was in a different game, and I was like, this choice matters, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, and I thought it was even that very first part. I thought it was really cool.
But was there even a part of you that considered picking the Drifter? Let's be honest.
Yeah,
Dude, the tone makes you second guess.
It does. Dude,
no, I don't mean us. I don't mean us normal peasant folk. I mean Jesus Christ Superstar. You know.
Went there. He had the Bible next to him. He sat down.
Yes.
I mean that as it with all positive inflection.
Yeah, Lego's a good.
Lego's like the nicest.
Lego is a good guy. Yes.
Yeah. Like
lives a good life. Like me, growing up, I was pretty shady.
Here's the dilemma. No, here's the dilemma: is that it actually made me think like, because you're talking to this Honor person, you're like, what if she's like a bad person, and really the Vanguard's being like, this is like a Hydra situation in Marvel,
right.
and I'm like, from the inside out, something bad's happening because the Vanguard's kind of already in a bad place, and then like, what if the Drifter's actually trying to do something good? And there's all this like, where is it going? And you just don't know. And I was second guessing. I just thought it was all really well done.
I know the only reason you thought about picking the Drifter. I know what it is. So
because he's lawful good.
Here's what it is.
He's the best character that Bungie has introduced.
Here's what it is.
Because I think he's really good.
I was watching, I think, Jimmy Fallon yesterday, and Mark Ruffalo was on there, and he was talking about how he was a good kid. And he had braces, and then his act of rebellion when he was a teenager was he ripped his braces off before they were supposed to be off. And like, yeah, Mom, I took my braces off. I'm not going to wear braces. I feel like that was like Lego. Like, should I do it? Like, yeah, guys, look what I did. I'm a badass.
So
I'm a rebel.
He's acting out. It's not a phase.
Yeah.
It's not a phase, Ma, sort of thing.
That's why. He was like, should I do it?
Here's the thing about the Drifter that makes him...
What the fuck?
But anyway, the thing about the Drifter that's really good is that he reminds me of a con man. Not a con man in a sense that like he's conning you out of something, but the term con man comes from confidence man.
Yeah.
Like everything that he says, he speaks in absolute confidence and like pulls you to his side. But like I don't know, man. Like I've always liked him from the beginning because like to me, I was kind of saying it earlier that he is probably the character that I identify with the most. Like he's just gonna do what needs to be done. Sometimes like if he was a D&D character, like he would be chaotic good for sure. Like whereas Zavala would be like lawful good. And like it's just two different sides to the same coin, kind of like. What do we say? Pope was lawful evil.
Yeah,
Pope is lawful evil.
Do you want to dive into it, Wilson, and like let's talk about spoilers for a few minutes here, because that way you can really dive into the character.
I'm down.
Hove, Triton, if y'all don't want to listen,
tell me what to do.
And if you're listening podcast or video wise, if you haven't completed it yet and don't want any story spoilers or character spoilers, if you just want to like hold off for maybe 10 minutes, tune back in, see where we're at. But yeah, what did Wilson? I know you were really digging it. What did you dig about this story once you came throughout, and the ending?
Basically,
which
like,
it hasn't really ended, but yeah,
no, it hasn't. And like some of it, I don't want to say it raises more questions. Like you do get a deep insight to like where he's kind of coming from. I mean, he's a man who's lost a lot. He kind of alludes that. I don't know if I took this, Winnie, you can correct me on this if you took it the same way, but did he kind of allude to that he was alive during the previous Dark Age?
Well, that was old information. He lived through the Dark Age, so he's seen some shit.
Yeah.
And they pretty much go through what he's seen through that time through now. And so it makes you think like, okay, so if he's seen this, like, is this in preparation because he doesn't want to go through that again? And you start to kind of just move along that line of maybe Anor's over ahead. Like maybe this is in fact why the Vanguard are allowing him here to do this. Maybe this, relates to what Callus has seen. Like there's a lot of interesting combinations.
He's very connected. It's like a web of like you look at something like Game of Thrones where all these characters are like doing stuff and don't know that they're all connected. Like Drifter would be a very center, like focal point of that spider web. Like
the craziest thing too is at this point in time, the 9 have made contact with 3 different people.
Yeah.
Callus,
this is nuts.
Drifter, and us. And Callus is given the same theme of he knows something's coming.
Well, and
he wants to
well,
preface.
the Queen.
Yeah. Oh, the Queen too, yeah. So the Queen's in there. And they all have all given the same theme of something's inbound. It's not pretty.
Yeah.
We need to prepare for it. So it really factors in like the darkness aspect of that.
So the thing that connected with me the most was you go around and he hides all these tapes in the EDZ. You go around and you pick up these audio tapes and he kind of gives you an insight. And the thing that stuck with me the most was he goes, "Kid, you can't save everyone. Eventually they're going to die someday and they become a memory. And I got enough of those. I don't need any more." You know what I mean? Like he's been alive for thousands of years, over 1,000 years. You know what I mean? And like, that's literally almost like a curse. And he says stuff like, when I froze to death, 100 times on that planet, and I starved to death every time I just wanted to die, my ghost wouldn't let me. He's like, it's not a gift, kid, it's a curse.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's like, some of us just want to lay down and die. You know what I mean? And he's like, we can't. He's like, I didn't ask for this.
What did you think about, because I got the same messages on the Vanguard side, but it's like you them because you're trying to find out information about him. And so what did you think about the whole what he said about your ghost?
That ghosts, like some ghosts have more of a connection with the traveler than other ones. Is that what?
No. Dude, does he have different dialogue? Because that would be so interesting.
No,
but
he did say something about the ghost.
The one where he's talking about how ghosts are like not your friend, like they are like your enemy. Like he's like and he tells his ghost, like he's like, I see you making that face. Like don't, like he hates his ghosts and he hates like all ghosts and doesn't trust any of them.
A lot of people are after his ghost because if they can get his ghost, they can take him out. Essentially, that's one of the things he says. A lot of kids want my ghost, kid, and like and. He but that's one of the things he said. He was like, he's like, your ghost isn't your friend, it's your enemy. When I was starving to death and just wanted to die, he wouldn't let me. He's like, he put me through. He sees it from a very different standard of like, when we die, we get re-res by our ghosts and we're back in the action to kick some ass. He's like, just fucking leave me dead, man. Like it's been 1,000 years. And he also says that the 9 have given him a seat. It sounds to me like they're basically building like a fallout shelter from whatever's coming, whether it be the darkness, the 3D space Doritos, whatever it is that are coming. And he basically says, I have a seat +1. And he's like, it's yours. You know what I mean? So like by siding with him, apparently we're gaining access to this like Fallout-esque like shelter type scenario. Like, and if it scares the Drifter, dude, it sure as hell scares me because he's seen that. He definitely says like there's a new dark age coming. Like he doesn't allude to it. Like he says the words like a new dark age is coming. So
the 9 need us too, because the 9 needed the traveler in the light in order to ascend that balance of darkness and light. So when the traveler went down and all that stuff happened where they retested us again, like they were actually like, this is in some of the lore books, but they were actually intimidated when that happened. And so that's another thing to take note of, that they also need the light just as bad as we needed it back to withhold whatever their grand scheme is.
There was a lot of lore stuff about the 9 on the Drifter ship, and throughout as you're playing the Reckoning, you get a lot of stuff for them. This is kind of separate from the story, but just reading some of that, it's interesting that like on one hand you're getting to me, the stuff that I didn't read that Wendler, everything that I read and had heard while playing Reckoning had to do with like the 9 see us as like insects, like it's like nothing, but also at the same time the 9 need us in the sense that like they are in all of us. Like it's like the 9 are like some concept that you can't really fully understand or something like that throughout those lore books that I was reading.
What people were saying is that there's like 9 quote unquote dimensions and that each one holds a seat or something along those lines. It's some complicated reason why they're referred to as the Nine.
Interesting.
Into what they hold. The other thing to note, we saw in the original cutscene, when they announced the DLC, was that the Drifter apparently used to be Dredgen, and then let go of the title. So maybe we'll see that at some point.
Well, we already did see some of that, because in the story, like, Drifter kind of explains like why he was with them and then he wasn't, and like he basically is just, I'm gonna do what I need to survive, and that's me.
It just makes me wonder if we'll see an actual cutscene then, like that cutscene play out how it was in that trailer. I would assume maybe it'll deal with like the 9 invitations we're getting the first step of this weekend. Right. I think they said there's 9 weeks of it or something like that.
Yeah.
So
it's gonna be cool, man. It's gonna be cool. Like, he also alludes to why he gave us the title of Dredgen, like if you've earned that in game, and it's not because you earned it.
Yeah.
He did it as a ruse to draw out the shadows of Yor, because he knew it would piss him off
if
people were rolling around with the Dredgen title.
I won't speak on this because the lore book isn't physically in the game yet. But once the Thorn lore book, because that's what it's related to, once that info comes out, there's some really deep shit that will put a lot more light on this whole Vanguard Drifter comparison. That kind of it will really open your eyes, and you'll be
interesting.
Like, oh,
well, it will open our eyes enough to be able to see you.
We're going to have to wrap up the story stuff pretty quickly here, but real quick, to go back to the whole Drifter and Anor thing, because for me, I'm wondering for y'all, did y'all end up like standing by the side that you chose at the end? Were you like, I made the right decision doing this? Because I feel that way for me, siding with the Vanguard. I was like, okay, I see, like, to me the Drifter's just like, I'm just gonna do what I need to survive, and doesn't really care as much about anything else around him. And to me, Anor, while very meticulous and like, I'm going to look at everyone, it reminded me actually of like, she was like a Nick Fury character. Like, I don't care what somebody has done. Like, I'm going to look into everything. I'm going to look into the hero. I'm going to look into this person, that person, whatever. And then even I'll go as far as if I see that the Drifter is fine, because did y'all get the book at the end? Because I got a book at the end of the Vanguard one that talks about the Drifter helping Anor do stuff at the end, and everybody's kind of collaborating to get people who are the shadows, basically. Or people who are thinking about joining them. And I thought it was like, oh, whoa, this is interesting. All these characters are kind of melding together, not necessarily for the common good. Like, Drifter's definitely doing it for himself, but it was just interesting to see Anor be like, okay, like, you're not, like, I know that you're not just absolute evil, but I don't trust you, but I'm still gonna like use you to do this stuff. Like, I'm kind of like, she kind of aligns with where Ikora and everyone else is.
I definitely feel like I made the right choice. Like, after getting an insight to the Drifter, like, I feel like that's what kind of person I would be in a situation like that. Like, when the Iron Lords showed up, I'd hide my ghosts. I wouldn't want them knowing that I was a Guardian. You know what I mean? That's the thing.
Yeah.
Guardians can't sense other Guardians. It's not like, because it's just all in plain sight. You know what I mean? Like, they have their ghosts, things like that, or you do enough things to get like well renowned. He just kind of would do stuff and not take like the glory and fame from it all. He would just kind of do his thing for his own good. And it sounds shitty, but like, I mean, I kind of feel like that's what kind of person I would be after fighting for 1,000 years and dying God knows how many times. Like, I think I would lose my shit, man.
I don't personally think at this point that Drifter is doing it for his own self. I think there's a reason he's reaching out. The other reason I decided, and I'm perfectly fine with my choice as it stands, is Anor wanted to blame us for Cade's death. I don't care who you are. There's clearly a list of things that we have done. I'm not going to be blamed for his death. And the other thing is, Cade died. Clearly, just believing in the Traveler and believing in all that is good isn't what works anymore. That's not going to save everyone. So there has to be something else we got to tap into. And if that's a little bit of Gambit, then that's a little bit of Gambit, like, or whatever the test that is being taught. You know, the Drifter made malfeasance for us as a counter of, it was at the time used as the Thorn's replacement. It was like, this is the gun that will do it. And then you get the last word, and that's the personal last word from Shin, if you go back and look at it. That's Shin giving us that weapon and saying, here you go, kid. And then you mix that in with the Dredgen title to bring out the Shadows of Yore. I think there's a goal we'll probably see more in the next few weeks, once we get more info on the story. But I just don't think the Vanguard, the Anor pass specifically, it just didn't. Like, there's also a reason too that Zavala and Ikora know about the Drifter and are fine with him doing what he's doing. Knowing the deaths, knowing Guardians are dying, there's a reason they are even allowing it.
Yeah.
So with that in consideration, like, I feel like it's the right move right now.
Yeah, that's interesting. It's cool to me that Bungie has created this scenario where, because I still am glad that I sided with the side that I chose too, but I see what you're doing is wrong either, like within the game. And so like I could see both sides, and it's cool that they've developed a story in which that can happen, and they've created a character, the Drifter, that's complicated enough and mysterious enough that we're all interested and we want to know, and all his dialogue lines have us like, oh yeah, tell us more, like what was it like 1,000 years ago or whatever, like I think it's great. I just want to say it, like, to me it's like one of the best things to happen to Destiny's story. Like, I'm super invested and I'm really curious to see what unfolds the next few weeks.
Yeah, I'd like more stuff like this in the future. Even if we're not getting like, and don't get me wrong, I'm happy with the content that we've been given with Season of the Drifter so far. But even if it's like light on content, if it's like heavy on lore like this, where like you do, like you said, this is the first time I feel like I'm making a decision that matters in the game. You know what I mean? Like, besides like deciding whether or not to raid for the week. You know what I mean? Like, you didn't feel like you were making an impact on the world by doing the raid that week. But yeah, this feels different. It feels cool. I hope they do more stuff like this in the future with choices, and maybe even expand upon it further. So
expand.
I haven't heard anything bad about it. I haven't heard anyone say, oh, this Allegiance thing is stupid. Like,
no, not at all. Yeah,
it's very cool.
I think it's done really well. I think people are receiving it really well. I think it's an expansion of even what we've passed with like the Queen, and how we get information with that every week, and how there's a lot of in-game dialogue even if we don't get cutscenes. Like, I really like that. If they can give us more content this way without doing cutscenes, I would rather have all this Drifter dialogue or secret messages from Anor, whichever, like both at the same time. Like, this is great. I love this kind of content, and like I'm eager to read those messages, and I'm eager to listen to the Drifter talk. It's pretty cool.
It makes me wonder what's going to happen in September, because like the way Luke Smith kind of phrased everything, like they're finally getting that gauge of what Bungie, even though Bungie's not solely doing things yet, like they're still Vicarious, I think, is still assisting with Penumbra. But
well, come September though, that's all Bungie, right?
Yeah, September's freshly Bungie, which is why I think too a bunch of the devs have been quiet on Twitter. Like the Sandbox team has been just dark, and the only reason they go dark is if they're working on another project down the line. But besides the point, like if you think in September, like you'd have Last Wish, Scourge. Let's just assume that Penumbra will bring up Leviathan raids in addition to whatever new raid will come out with, because I mean it's a perfect scenario for them to do it. You have like the Black Armory stuff, you have Gambit related things. Like there's in terms of the depth of the game, it's finally hitting that point in September where you have pretty much one per area of the game, which will be pretty crazy to think about. And a lot of people are mad about doing old stuff, but if you go back to like if we're gonna think about D1 and doing old stuff, that whole April update they did where everyone was super hyped about was just old stuff for leveling. So like they're more or less taking that experience going forward.
To be fair with that, two things with that. One, you're always gonna have people who are excited about old stuff, and you're always gonna have people who are gonna bitch about old stuff. But even on the flip side of that, I think the difference here being that was stuff we had no reason to touch for a long time, that was fun, that people liked, and they brought it back to being relevant, whereas now people bitch more about we haven't stopped doing the same stuff. That's do you know what I mean? Like that's the difference.
Yeah.
There. You're never going to please everybody. I agree with that, but I do think they are a little bit different in what you're talking about. That's all.
Cool. Well, I think we've summed up that pretty well. I think we should probably talk about that new Gambit Prime map that we didn't get to cover earlier because I thought it was pretty great. I know there's some problems with it. Wilson and me were playing today, and he was like, "God, I wish they would just put the other map in every once in a while because you're only getting kind of like one at a time right now." But the one thing I gotta say, because there are some problems with the map, but the one thing that I love so much is the wheel thing on the floor. They showed it in the preview for Gambit, but the little like floor escalators, the people mover. Yeah, dude. It is so fun. You gain so much speed getting on those things. And whenever an invader comes in, I immediately just get on the treadwheel and I'm like, okay, where are they at? I'm just going to hop around the map until the invader shows up and then fly up and rocket them. So it's great for confusing the enemy too. If they're like, oh, they're over here, and then they're just flying around the map on that thing. It's awesome.
You can close the distance really nicely if like you have to rush them or something like that.
Yeah.
But like the map is cool. I don't like a full circular map in a sense. It's hard to say to my right in a circle because if somebody's facing, or just say to the right, if someone's facing a different way, their right is different than your right. So what they did was they color coordinated the buildings, right? There's a yellow one, there's a red one, there's a white one, but you can't see half the colors when somebody invades because your whole screen goes bloody murder red as if the drifter's saying you're getting invaded, or the noise when someone invades. It's not quite that noise, but like
it's not that close. Really,
it's two distinct audio cues.
Yeah,
and then there's a countdown. There's even something that says invader, and it has a timer on it. Like, I don't need my screen hosed with red. Like, I'm gonna be 35 years old at the end of the month. My eyesight isn't as good as what it used to be, so. If I could just get that shit off my screen and say, hey, he's over at yellow, or hey, he's over at white, because the only color that I can tell when that happens is freaking red. So,
have you messed with serious question, I've never done it, but have you messed with the colorblind settings? Because I know even with stock stuff there's a lot of people that like to change those up.
So I said this last night to Marcus, and he said that he uses a colorblind setting even though he's not colorblind. Like, a lot of people do. Yeah, a lot of people do, because it just makes like certain...
I just like the green and blue look more.
Yeah, or like when someone's in their super like a spectral, they're not like glowing that faint red, they're glowing like a very vibrant yellow. You know what I mean? They're almost like kind of easier to see a little bit. Like it's easier to differentiate when you know, the orange from Solar, the purple from Void, the blue from Arc, and there's just all this shit on the screen during the game. But I asked if there was a colorblind setting that maybe changes the tone of that. But then again, like, I don't know what color it changes the yellow building to. I could call out, like, teal or something, and somebody might not.
Yeah, the colors are probably baseline, because most of the colorblind stuff is, like, aura related.
Yeah.
Or UI related directly. It's not related to the environment.
Absolutely.
So like you have like the scoreboard in PvP, or like a highlight of someone invading, and or the UI like your teammate where it shows their health and stuff like that.
Well,
so
wouldn't that make it, because if you're saying the buildings are probably going to stay the same, right?
No, I don't. Oh, that's what Winnie's saying. Maybe
like the environment
colorblind settings, I would guess, yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. So maybe if the buildings stay the same, but that aura and everything else changes, then maybe, it's something worth a shot.
Yeah. What concerns me outside of that map is the next two Gambit maps are Emerald Coast and the Nessus Drill map are Gambit Prime maps, and I don't think that they're big enough, personally. Like, based on just the examples we have here, I think the very first map is the best Gambit Prime map they have, because the amount of sight lines there are and different, like, ways, like, snipers are viable, but so are shotguns in close quarters. But if you look at Emerald Coast, it's all open, and people are going to have spawns memorized. Like, I know they added more invader spawns, but on those maps specifically, like, the drill map might be okay, because of how big it is, but Emerald Coast I just think is too enclosed to be a good Gambit Prime map.
Is it me, or does Emerald Coast sound more like a level in like a Sega Genesis
Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah.
It is.
Well, it's because Emerald Bay is.
No,
a
I think it's Emerald City.
Yeah.
City. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
call Ho.
Do you think that they might change the maps up at all, like for Gambit? Probably?
I don't think so, because the if they were, they would be reprised. Like, I mean, if they maybe, but I think they specifically picked these two because they're, I would say, favorites within Gambit itself.
Yeah.
Like, if you were to ask me what two maps I love, it would probably be Emerald Coast and the Nessus Drill map.
Did they ask you?
No, I said if.
No, I was just checking. So, okay.
But so that's why I think they took it. But like I said, I think the drill map on Nessus would be okay, but I just don't think Emerald Coast is big enough with even more invader spawns for it to really be good for Gambit Prime. But I guess we'll see.
I hope that there's I just hate the maps where you can fall and die a lot, like the ones with pitfalls. I hate them. That's what I like about the new maps, is that there's not a whole, if you pitfall on this week's map, it's because you went way the hell out of the way somewhere. I don't even know if you can actually, but some of the older regular Gambit maps, I just hate all the pitfalls, man, because I can't. Those maps are tricky to memorize. I would even say trickier than a Crucible map to memorize. The Gambit maps, there's a lot of lanes, a lot of tricky things, and I noticed a lot on the new map this week. As soon as the invaders' feet would touch the ground, there's some spawns where they have a direct line on very popular spots where you and your team will be chilling. So it's literally your screen goes red and you're getting lit up before you can even react. So it's there's very open sight lines from the spawns. I think that's kind of pointing to what Winnie was saying, where people are going to learn those spawn points. And yeah, so I don't know if they could change the map physically. I'm sure there's some behind the scenes tweaks that they can make to spawn points and things like that. But I just wish they could make the buildings more identifiable when you're trying to make a call out. Or maybe establish east-west, red building is always north or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It would be nice. That really is
What
the
about just
only
putting
flaw
numbers
the
on
map for
them?
me. Because
That'd
the way
be cool too.
Yeah, numbers would work.
Didn't they do that? Was that how Anomaly was? Weren't there numbers or letters or something?
Yes, it was 1, 2, 3, 4 by the major entrances.
Oh, yeah, totally.
But Anomaly was a lot more distinct too. You had B, catwalk, outside, inside, cave.
But I'm talking about as far as buildings,
strictly.
Even if you go they're between 1 and 2, they're behind 3. You have 4 points, you work off of those.
They're pushing to mid from 3.
Yeah,
because regarding
he's top mid.
Top mid, everything's top mid.
Mm-hmm.
Regarding the other reason I think Emerald Coast will be a problem is when you spawn in on the Nessus map, there's different sight lines depending on what side of the map you're on. So if you're at the cliff side, which is right on the left when you spawn in, it's got high sight lines. So if they add spawns up there, it's hidden enough, or you have the back dome, or you have the drill side, but they're all different levels so that it's even. But on the Earth map, the only thing that's really vertical is the apartments or the building in the back.
Yeah.
Everything else is kind of flat with a clean sight line directly to the center map. So I think it's going to be tough. I don't know how that will work.
Yeah, we'll see what it feels like once it comes out.
Yeah, I said that before.
You know what? We were playing Gambit earlier, and Lego made a sexual innuendo.
No, he didn't.
What?
Yes, he did.
I don't know what you're
Yeah,
talking
because
about.
because you know why? You know why? Because he was busy playing Drifter, and he got his personas mixed up.
He got his personas. He's having an identity crisis. Good boy, bad boy.
Was there anything else? Any other topics that have happened this week?
I do have a question about when I left, when you guys were talking story stuff. Do we at all Do we know Drifter's name yet? Did we learn that?
Yeah, it's beat up mana.
Beat up
Busted up mana.
I'm not sure if it's in the lore books yet.
Yeah, don't ruin it, Wendler.
I plead the fifth.
Wait, do you know it?
I know it.
Just tell me, is it gonna mean something, or it's just, oh, okay, that's his name?
His base name, no, but in regards to that specific cutscene with the emissary, I mean, yes,
it could mean something.
It depends how you look at it.
Okay.
I would say what's more important is the fact that he was once Dredgen versus the fact of what his name was.
Right.
Yep.
Like, if you heard his name, you would just be like, "Oh,
okay." That's okay. So that answers my question.
It's like, damn.
His name's Jerry.
His name's
right?
Jeff.
Jerry. Yeah.
It kind of could be Jerry.
It's Jeff, but it's Geoff.
Oh,
It's
God.
weirdly spelled Jeff.
Do you know
Geoff.
anybody named Jerry that you like?
Jerry Garcia.
Are you
Jerry
friends with
the
him? Do you know
Mouse.
him?
I mean, like his music.
Someone named Jerry is listening to this podcast right now and feeling very offended.
I do.
I
know
didn't say I didn't. I know a Jerry I like.
subscribed.
I was just
Same.
asking. I know too.
There's
actually.
this old hippie old cat named Jerry, and we call him Jer Bear. He's
See?
Jer
I don't
Bear.
even want to let. That's a young name, Jerry.
My name Jeff.
Did y'all have anything else with this week that y'all wanted to cover? Because there isn't really much in the TWA. There's like some basic changes to Gambit that we can go over, but a lot of it is just looking forward to what's to come. So did any of y'all have anything else to cover before we?
Well,
did
did
that
you
real
guys
quick and then
celebrate
community
today?
Questions.
Pie Day?
Celebrate.
Who said it? I heard it.
Well, dude, because did you go to Blaze today?
No, I went to ILS.
Okay, I went to Blaze.
It's Pie Day.
Pie Day, guys.
Yeah, I should have.
I had apple pie.
I got pizza pie.
Thanks, Wilson.
I had
Pizza
apple pie today. It was fire.
Had a cupcake.
It's Sam's. Did she bake cookies? Because she told me she was going to bake cookies.
Yeah, she's
Oh,
a total Betty.
God.
She can't.
Can you
She
say
has
that
to make
again?
something. I mean,
Cookies?
imagine living in a house with
Cookies?
two stoners, man. We make cookies
You make
all the time.
cookies?
Cookies.
Right.
You say
Cookies.
cookies? Did you
Cookies.
make some cookies today?
Cookies. Does anybody else say that? How do you say cookies?
Cookies?
Sounds exactly the same.
No, you're like cookies.
Cookies.
She make cookies today.
Cookies.
No,
Canada,
it's sounding more weird the more I hear it.
Yeah, the
It
more you
is.
say
It's like one of those
any word,
words.
You just say it a lot.
I'm
Say it
not
again,
even gonna be
Hill.
able to say
You
it.
say it.
Cookies.
Cookies.
Yeah, it's cookies.
Cookies.
I think he's adjusting.
I'm
You
just
did have a bit.
speaking.
You did.
If you
You
go
did
back
have a
and
bit of
clip,
a Nova
and you
Scotia
know-
there, eh?
Someone's gonna clip the cookies down.
You go clip it. And you'll hear it. Did she make you some cookies today?
Easy there, bud.
You literally
Wendy, don't you
Well,
owe me
no,
like?
before we
Don't you owe me
completely-
like $400? Give me my
doesn't
money.
mean you didn't say cookies wrong. All right.
Okay,
We completely segue so I can
got
make
mail?
some form of attendance today. I think what we're having those discussions about the story and everything else you guys were talking about and having not experienced it. I actually had a really good conversation with one of our regular listeners not that long ago. I think post the episode where we talked about where I made a comment like I'm kind of done with the darkness, and that was always within the context that you were basically doing something that you never had any input to doing. That you were just it was just going to be this is black and this is white and that's what you're going to do. So I think it's interesting because I think the counterpoint to that was, well, we've heard choice, we've had the lines be gray before. That's boring too. But when you take something that's been as long out as Destiny has been and just turn it on its head a little bit, I think that's kind of when you introduce something that's completely a new dynamic to something that you may have seen several times in other things that you do, but not necessarily in this. So it was really neat to hear kind of your guys' perspective on now finally getting to do, you know, well, this might have some ramifications and where do I really side and kind of having those things. And it doesn't have to necessarily be original, but if it's done well and done in something that's maybe unexpected, I don't think anyone expected that to be the case. It's really cool to kind of hear your perspectives on that. And it definitely makes me want to go back and try to make it a much more much better attempt this week to play the game. So it's probably not going to happen with the NCAA conference tournaments at this point, but at some point going back and to be able to make those choices I think is really interesting. So I'm glad that it has been introduced, because I think I was one of the people who always complained about having to do something 3 times on your characters. So it's another way to kind of skirt that a little bit as well. So definitely thinking that I'll try to make some attempt, and I won't have my kids do it this time so that I can experience it. So that's another thing. So I think that means a lot to not have my kids grind out all the story and so forth.
Well, that's something that Triton, you bring up 2 really cool things that I thought about this week. And one is that the story that it was presented this week, and I don't know if we'll get more later, I'm assuming so, but what we do have is that it's a good amount of dialogue and information that you get, and it doesn't feel like grindy. You know, it's not something that I would want somebody else to do, because I'm enjoying doing it and finding these things and listening to what I hear, which is really cool because a lot of stuff in Destiny is more like go grind these things and come back and get this item and whatever, and none of it feels like that to me, which is kind of one of the first times I've felt that way. The Thorn quest is completely different, but the actual like story pledge quest feels pretty like didn't feel grindy to me.
One of the things me and Dewey were talking that like is really telling as far as the story right now, just the story, not like how you get the story or anything, but like we ended Forsaken and you know recently in the last couple months with this big revelation of a ghost waking up what's his face? Douchebag.
Aldrin.
Yeah.
Chet.
And like that's the last of it. Like he woke up, everyone freaked out, and we haven't gone back to it. But like I haven't thought of it because like all this Drifter and Thorn and Last Word and all that shit's so cool. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that is impressive. And then the second point on top of what Triton was saying too, and he hinted at, was, you know, we've known Destiny as kind of the same method of storytelling, and we've been with our character for 4 years now, you know, going on further. And you're so, like, for me, I'm so attached to the way I see myself in this universe and not having to make difficult decisions that, Hove, you asked me earlier, like, would you have really picked the other side? Like, could you have done that? And I really was in a dilemma when the choice came up, because I was like, I've never had to do this in Destiny.
Yeah, but we don't
before.
believe you.
Where a choice actually determined what loot you were going to get, what, you know, how in it, and specifically the part that really got me was it had a line that said, the Drifter will remember your choice. And I was like, oh crap. Like, there's never been something in Destiny where it felt like that. Like, it was always your interpretation. Like, did I kill Prince Aldrin, or, you know, how did that actually go down? It kind of cut, like, and now it's like, no, you are choosing this and it will have consequences in the future. And that, having been with my character for 4 years and being with the Vanguard for 4 years, it's been like, man, I'm tight with these people, like, in my mind, and it's kind of flipping that on its head, even though it only tilted the way it was telling the story by a small degree. It was just so different than what Destiny had done before that it made a big impact on me personally playing the story.
There's finally a power threat in the story after so long. Like, they're finally taking a risk in storytelling to put it out there that we are not invulnerable. Like, for so long through D1, it was, oh, big bad darkness. Oh, you're just gonna go Atheon now. Oh, Crota showed up. Oh,
Oryx.
Oh, Crota has a dad. He's bad too.
Oh, okay. Crota has a dad.
And then you're like,
can that be the name of this episode? Oh, Crota has a dad.
Yes.
And then you're like, oh, Siva infected and killed a bunch of Iron Banner lords that you just slapped around. And then, like, just fast forward to, like, the same theme. And finally with Forsaken, they take that risk of, hey, it's dead. You're not invulnerable. It's not just a happy-go-lucky world anymore. Callus has been theming that before Forsaken. There is some stuff going on. Mara has been referencing, there's some stuff coming. You have the Drifter now, where he's like, yeah, man, for the 15th time, there's something coming. You're not probably, like, people are gonna die. Like, that's a real thing now in the universe. Death is real. And I think that is just so important to get people invested again. Because now, every time you're logging in, like, I'm thinking, like, all right, so what's the next step? Like, what is the end goal of me working with you? Like, I want to work with you, but what are we gonna obtain? Like, what is this gonna prevent us? Like, and if we hit Penumbra and they follow through with the Callus storyline, what is that going to get us? Like, where are we gonna go with this? What are you gonna do to help us with whatever's inbound? And then, you know, the whole Savathun rumors and whatever's inbound, like, is Savathun going to come first? Are we going to deal with pyramid ships? Like, there's
so much shit. And we talked about this one time just briefly, that, like, I'm assuming that somehow all of these, like, all of the stories that have kind of been left are going to all tie into some greater thing. But, like, there's so many different loose ends in the story.
Aldrin. Can't, like, when is the circle with Aldrin gonna come back?
You mentioned Callus. Like, I've always been a fan. Like, it never felt like that was done. You know, like
No.
But I
Yeah,
always like that whole
was
thing
just,
was cool because he's this giant like threat we think, and then he's like, what's up, guys? Like I just want to see like you want to like do this obstacle course. Like there's people nowadays that do those things. They like pay money to like get their ass beat and do these crazy obstacle courses and stuff.
The other crazy thing regarding Callus is like this is like in the lore reports, but they also mention how what is it called? Not the Dreadnought. His
Leviathan?
ship is just Leviathan. It's been quiet ever since it hit Nessus. The only people that have been to and from that ship have been us. Since in like the red for like Spire of Stars and stuff.
To be fair though, it's like a planet-sized ship, so like
yeah,
it's not everyday
like,
people leave Earth either.
But it's just been inactive, like
yeah.
Like no one else has been to and from that, so people think that there's something regarding that too. But yeah, like maybe this all just continues on with that E3 stuff they left out, where at some point we end up going back to the what did they call it in D1, the patrol zone?
Cosmodrome.
Yeah, the Cosmodrome. Maybe we end up going back and we get that original cutscene with Uldren again, where he's like, "I'm here now. You got to pick a side." Like, because Uldren makes.
Why is the tower breathing down my back? Is what he said. You know what I mean? Why does everyone hate me at the tower? Basically,
I mentioned this before.
That's interesting.
How like everything with Forsaken has been tying back into that original Uldren E3 reveal trailer, where like you go to the Cosmodrome, you fight the fallen captain, he gives you the Thunderlord, you have the Duke back in the game, that's what Uldren was holding. There's a bunch of references they're making back to that original story point too, and it's just cool, it's just kind of just wrapping back up together again, which is pretty crazy.
It's pretty awesome. I love where Destiny's at right now. Which I wanted to bring that up actually. How much this season has pulled me back in. Wilson, you mentioned it earlier, but Season of the Forge, and how much like I was just not interested in any of it. Like the story of all the armories and like maybe if I read the book, I've heard, I think Anon was saying it was his favorite yet was the Forge, but just from a surface level, like what's happening and what's being told to me, it was just, I didn't like the activities as much. It felt grindy. None of it feels grindy to me. It feels fun.
Story-wise, like, isn't that kind of its own, like, none of that, the Forge stuff, Black Armory, ties into anything else that's going on, really, right?
I think some of it does, because I don't think, Anon was saying, like, he loves it so much if you actually, like, read all the lore and understand what's happening behind the scenes, but I didn't.
But not, like, kind of main story, how we're talking about, like, Callus might
at this point, not to my knowledge. I think it's like backstory regarding the three families.
Yeah,
gotcha.
It just showed up at our doorstep, literally at our doorstep. Didn't know anything about it, and it just kind of felt like one of those activities where like, okay, I guess I'll it's my turn to step up and do this again, and doesn't feel like it has any repercussions or any impact on the current world.
That's what I mean.
And whereas like. A lot of stuff in Destiny kind of felt that way, but this is like since Forsaken and skipping Forge, it really feels impactful. Like stuff's happening, the world is changing, the mood is changing, sort of thing.
Well, and even like when he was saying, a lot of that does tie back. You said like stuff that didn't seem to have any impact has happened a lot in Destiny, but like they're starting to tie so much of that back.
Yeah,
I mean, even as far back as like House of Wolves and with the Nine and all that kind of shit, like,
and the Iron Lords too, like all this stuff about like you were saying with the Drifter, like being there whenever he was hiding from the Warlords, and the Iron Lords came in and like used that city as a hideout to take out the Warlords, and like all this crazy stuff that happened so long ago and you hardly ever hear. But you're getting actual audio dialogues from the Drifter talking about it, which is really cool. And even story aside, what I was talking about was even just the activity alone. Like the stuff that we have to do now is way more interesting than stuff we've had in the past for Destiny.
Well, one last question while we're kind of talking about the potential of the story and how big it's gotten. Before I even see if this question's worth asking, maybe I'll do this as a Twitter question. Like I'll put it on Twitter as a poll. But how many of you guys, like, I know we've talked about who's played Halo or not, but were any of you guys like super into like the deep like lore throughout Halo and everything? Wilson, anybody else?
Yeah, read all the books.
Okay, you're the person.
Yeah.
Assuming, you know, we still theoretically are a long way away from like the end games. End game. See what I did there? Story of
the new trailer.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Of Destiny. You know, like we still have we were just talking about Callus and Savathun and the Nine and all this shit still needs to happen. But with where we're at now and how big this story could get and how much we're into it, what do you think will end up being a better, deeper, like just overall story world lore? The Halo world or the Destiny world?
It's really tough, man, because like, I mean, if you want to talk about like in game,
no,
Destiny,
just the world. Oh, really?
Yeah, in game, I'd say Destiny because like you can get a gist of a lot of what's going on, like without having to travel too far outside of the game. Like, I never knew that. Like, well, I guess they kind of allude to it in Reach, but like, you know, for the first like 3 Halos, I thought Master Chief was one of a kind. Like he was the only Spartan. I didn't realize that they were like picked as kids and like genetically modified to be stronger, faster, better, like all this different
To be fair,
stuff.
you were probably right because that probably didn't come along until later. They were like, "Oh, let's make more of them." Do you know what I mean?
Right. Well, yeah, for sure. But like, it was just like, you know, why is there just this one guy that's so badass? Why isn't everybody wearing that suit of armor going around kicking some Covenant ass? You know what I mean? And, I mean, like, don't get me wrong, the books are freaking amazing, dude. But like, if you want anything outside of what the game gives you, as far as Halo's concerned, you got to go to the books. Whereas I feel like, of course, if you leave Destiny, I mean, you could fall down a fucking rabbit hole.
That's my point.
Of stuff. But like in game, like I feel like Destiny portrays like more of an interesting, mysterious universe, in my opinion.
I just feel like even though there's, and I never read any of them or even really played through all the Halos, but from what I have seen, just like, because I've been interested a couple times, just gone on like Wikipedia and read up on like all the backstory and stuff, just the brief, you know, synopsis.
Mm-hmm.
It still feels like the Destiny world is so much deeper. Like, not that Halo's wasn't, but like we're talking about these things. This person who was mentioned just as a name. Oh, I was talking to so and so. They're never mentioned again, but they have a fucking huge backstory. Do you know what I mean? Like, it just feels so
you could
fleshed
look at it
out.
this way too. Halo is on a universal scale, which is huge. You know, you're all over the universe. For now, we're kind of confined to our little solar system. But dude, we've got fucking hive realms. We've got fucking Vex networks and all these different existences, like, you know, like parallel universes sort of things. We've got fucking time travel. You know, like Osiris is up to some crazy shit. Like, dude, there's so many different like angles. Like once you start talking about like the hive nether realm, like that's a whole new universe.
Do you want to talk about
basically
my nether realm?
Regions.
But yeah, final point on that. I do think it's amazing, and I've kind of said this to before, but I'm pretty sure I remember hearing things like when Destiny 1 was out. You know, one of those like, God, Bungie, what are you doing? You made this great Halo world, and this story's so awful. What happened? And now, like,
you're like, oh,
like
fuck.
I said, the story and the lore is honestly the number one driving factor for bringing me back every week. Like, I want to learn this shit. It's awesome. It's almost like they made 20 movies that all tied together and are about to have a big culmination in like a month.
That's called, in-game.
To touch on the replayability in this season 2, I think the big factor in that is the tier 2 has a chance to drop randomly rolled weapons. What tier 2 has right now, I honestly think they need to implement in Blindwell for Dreaming City gear and have weapons drop random, create curated roles. Like obviously they have some curated roles, but create a full set of curated roles so that Blindwell actually has that same incentive, because Blindwell is super fun too, but right now it just feels like a time burner to go to talk to Mara and to turn that offering in. It doesn't feel like that, and that could even help that experience on that end more, and people that are going for the title.
I really do think they're actually like implementing a lot of, because curated roles came in at Dreaming, like Forsaken basically, and they kind of have been pushing that like further as we, I guess strike specific weapons were kind of the first of it, and then now we're getting it with other random rolls, and I just love that they're adding on all these things that they take, that they're experimenting with, the things that click with us, they keep that and bring it to the next, whatever the next DLC or expansion or whatever. It's more like a live game now with the annual pass. And man, I really, if it wasn't for the lack of PvP stuff, like as far as like competitive being the only in-game PvP, like Destiny would be in just an amazing spot right now. I love where it's at.
Can I ask a general question? I just want to.
No, only hosts can ask questions.
Yes, ask your general question.
So I was working on a huge thing for like improvement of comp. And one of the ideas I had for, without going too deep, is to, at this point, completely remove losses, period, in comp, revert the double glory change, and just have it be a win-based playlist over time. And the reason I had for this is, you can say, well, then you remove the point of winning. But at this point, the population of comp isn't going to change. Mm-hmm. It's not going to get better. If you have it be winning only, the good players will still hit the end point faster than the not so good players. And on top of that, you'll have a greater push at the end of season for those going for those weapons. And you still have to do the weapon objectives too in there as well. Like Luna's Howl has the long line. Because if you look at PC right now, like if I want to get Not Forgotten on PC, it's borderline impossible for me to do that between queue times and getting the base kills in the playlist as is. Yeah. But the quests are available for you, but how reasonable is it for you to do them compared to like if you're just a player entering in? And the other thing I think that helps too is the players that aren't at the top level, it gives them not like a fighting chance, because they're still going to hit a wall at some point where you're going to hit someone at 4,500 that's going to be better than they are. But it gives that bit of positive breathing room, I guess, to just push more people in the playlist. Because if their whole point of the double glory system and double on losses was to push population, then at this point that's like the best thing they can do to push that population forward.
I think that I like the idea that you got. The problem with the whole comp thing right now is because you're gonna have people that are like, well, I earned this thing and other people didn't. I know. But at the same time, I think that comp is trying to fill a void that it was never meant to fill. Like it's trying to fill trials now, which it can't do. Like it won't. No. It's literally a season-long event. It's a grind, and I think Wendler, I think it would be nice and it would relieve some of the negativity if they left the losses at the points that it was, like lessen the losses. I don't know if nothing, no loss, but just lessen it and then leave the double victory the way that it is, so that it is more like a you could win one, lose one, and you'd still go up kind of feel. I think that would even be fine. The thing is that I feel like there needs to be some sort of PvP in game, and right now there's not, and comp's trying to fill that void, and we just need something else that is a shorter raid time period in game thing to do. I don't know what that is. I was even thinking like I'm enjoying Gambit Prime to the point where like I kind of wish there was an in-game Prime. Like I know it kind of is in-game, but I wish there was like a tournament style experience I could do with it or something. But
the crazy thing regarding win percentage is below 2100, like on top of the existing problem you said where they're trying to have it fit a role, they're taking too many elements from too many different games ranking system wise, trying to combine them, and it doesn't work at this point. Like you got an MMR system with no placement matches, and then you're trying to fuse that with the 1 to 50 between the population size. It doesn't support. Like I think someone took data from around Black Armory, and the most players active in the comp playlist was around 1 to 2K. That's it. The other issue regarding win percentage is I do agree that if you just revert the losses and keep double wins, that helps to a point. But my problem is, and the reason I even think having no losses at this point, because comp's never going to build up again, is above, specifically around 3,500. The win percentage you need goes to around a 65 to 70%. to progress in rank.
It's a
You have to
lot.
win 2 games to 1.
Yeah.
Versus 2100, I think it's around like 45%. You can win 2, lose, or you can lose 2 and win 1 in between there, and it kind of it's around like 45ish%, near 50%. So that's a lot more clean. And it makes it too tough. And the only reason I was thinking of no losses was population time at high Q. Like Wilson, for example, if he wants to push Not Forgotten, he's going to eventually hit a wall where that 4500 Q time is going to be hellish.
Yeah.
Whereas if you had no
Some would
losses,
say
you
hellacious.
push people, and you push people in there, like you just have a greater population on the back end to help get those players going for it. And it still does separate good players from bad players, even though the win percentage isn't as significant anymore, because all you're doing at this point in comp is playing against yourself anyway. Really, you're going for points. You're not matching anyone on a win-win. Like there's no trials card you're going for at this point. So
yeah, I feel you. I see all those problems and I like agree with all those things. I don't know what, like, yeah, that would be great if they did that. That would get me playing comp more. I just don't know what I hope they do something is my bottom line. I don't know if that is the answer. That would be great that would get me back in the playlist, but I don't know. It would get me back in the playlist more frequently. I'm going to be there, but it would get me more nights in there. Anybody else got any thoughts?
Nope. I mean, on
just
comp,
go
I don't.
For Not Forgotten.
Yeah.
It's gonna be hard.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough, man. But you got it. I know you can do it, Wilson.
Be tough. Be cursing and swearing the whole way.
Yep.
You know,
See, and that's what I hate is that it's an experience that is like you kind of hate it afterwards. Like, yeah, once you get it, you have this moment of like, yes, I did it. Like I felt that with Not Forgotten, but it doesn't override the like just the anger that you feel when you have a night where you go down 600 points. Like that just sucks.
Yeah, the feels. It's for real.
yeah, double losses, I just don't think that was a good move at all if you're trying to increase playlist population.
Yeah,
if anything, it incentivizes more DDoSing. Like TV and I got hit off 2 or 3 different times within the first 2 days of just jumping into comp and that was like around 1,000.
Yeah,
that we got hit off.
That's crazy.
My bad.
Nice, thanks. Dude, can you hear that rain?
No, but tell TV that I'm sorry. I only meant like I just wanted to DDoS you.
Okay. Yeah. The best part was the guy DDoSed himself, and then his team left, gave us the win, and then he still was like, "Yeah, I'll hit off TV and Wendler." Like, how dumb are you?
That's
Hello.
So stupid. I hate that so much. Well, we know that's a problem. We know comp is in such a PvP is just in a weird state as far as it's in game. But with the TWAB, I just want to get to some of this stuff. They point out what we already talked about, that tier 3 is available Friday. So if you're listening to this on the podcast, maybe out already for Reckoning. And then Invitation of the 9 also begins Friday. We don't know what all that's going to look like. But the one thing that's new that they did detail out is the Gambit matchmaking, and they're going to have it to where basically more skill-based matchmaking for especially solo players versus team players. And if you're a really good solo player, you'll still match teams of people, but if you're like not as good of a solo Gambit player, you're going to be matched with more solo people. And so it kind of has that more skill-based matchmaking stuff in there for Gambit Prime. I think it's a cool change. I think it's necessary for people to have a good time if they're going solo, even though it is a more Gambit Prime's supposed to be the top tier kind of game mode.
It always matches me against 2 teams. What does that say about me?
2 teams
of 4.
How does that work?
You're twice the Guardian.
Yeah, okay. I thought so.
That's what you wanted to hear, right?
I mean, not those exact words, but thanks.
Okay.
I still think the biggest issue with Gambit Prime is how team-oriented it is, and I don't think these fixes will fix the overlying problem with the... I wouldn't say it's even a problem with just how team-oriented the game mode is as a whole.
A team game mode being team-oriented, I don't think it's a problem.
I wouldn't say it's a problem, but people that were placing the excuse of, oh, I'm playing a 4-man. Like, yeah, in some instances it sucks, but you can have this solo queue thing work out, and then you got 4 people that spawn in and they all have invader armor, and then the other team has one of each. Like, you're gonna be at a disadvantage with that based on the effects of everything as is. So I mean, it helps like base Gambit, but I don't think at the end of the day it's gonna make a major difference in Gambit Prime, given how team oriented it is anyways. So I mean, it'll help in some instances, but
Gambit Prime, Optimus Prime.
Well, Hove, do we have any, before we close out here, you got any questions for us? Twitter,
do I have any questions? Do you want me to ask questions?
No, not you personally. Like, does the internet have any questions? I thought I saw some stuff.
Do you want me to search the internet? Because that's also a terrible idea.
I don't want to nitpick phrasing here.
Well, okay.
You ever search yourself on the internet?
Yeah. Funny story.
There's a guy with my name that's a Canadian hockey player that likes to fight a lot.
That's awesome.
It's all right. I'm not a big fighter, but hey, it's cool.
So, really long story shortened down into one short story. In college, my buddy got an underage. We went through, and he went through a huge thing with having people go to his house to get his mail, selling his meal plan at school so that he could make the money to pay off his ticket without his parents noticing. This was a big ordeal over like 6 months to pay off this thing. Pays it off. Friend got the mail, like the actual ticket. Parents never found out. About a year later, his brother is graduating college. He's 2 years older than us. He won some sort of presidential excellence award. They're at a Christmas like get together, and he wants his parents, being parents, are like, Craig, show everyone your, look, find that thing. So he searches. I just like his last name was Sonosky Cal U or something, to find this thing, and his whole family's gathered around, and the first thing that pops up is his brother's name in the police blotter, because they went to the same college, for being arrested for an underage, and they're all just sitting there, and like he's sitting there, and they all just kind of look at it, and that's how his whole family found out. So that double slap in the face. His brother's trying to show off his presidential excellence award. Instead, they find his hidden DU or underage. Anyway,
it's a gag.
It's quite toasty. Asked.
Nice.
How would you fix the new map in Gambit Prime to better allow for callouts? And we
Shout out to Toasty. We were playing with Toasty earlier.
We did kind of answer that, but I wanted to throw out that he did ask that question.
Get rid of the red.
Azrael speaks with a couple. One of them is... first one. Whoa, Wenny is back. Okay, so what is it like to always die first and still owe me that beer when you lost that bet because you died first? I do believe you were supposed to give it to No Time and have not.
I haven't been with No Time yet. What was it? What is it like to always die first?
Yeah.
It's rough out there, man.
It's hard out here for a Wenny.
It's hard out here for them dies first people, All
right. One of my favorite questions.
Apex for some reason.
One of my favorite questions of all time. Who has the bigger smile? Lego upon waking up. Hove meeting his favorite porn star. Wilson rolling one with Snoop Dogg. Triton scouting the national championship. Or Mana when Gunga breaks out, quote, the Black Hammer for pegging.
Oh, jeez. Mana. 100% mana.
Cracky answered and said, I think it's Hove that would complete Season of the Stripper.
Well, it's not me waking up as much as that's
You're
hard
happy
to
all the
believe.
time. I bet you just wake up with a beautiful smile.
Nope.
You're totally a morning person.
When I wake up, it's not gaming time. It's like, go do work stuff. And
You're a total
like
morning person.
Yeah, at night, it's like, oh, we're going to game.
I'm just saying, I do have a picture of me meeting my favorite porn star.
I was going to say, you can
That's why I want
examine
to say
the
Hove.
one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because of the amount of text I got after Hove did that said event and Snapchats combinations of everything.
I didn't snap you.
We didn't snap, but you're like, hey, you remember what I did? Do you know what I did? I know you didn't see me tweet about it. Or...
I mean, I licked icing off of her.
It was like a kid where like late 1990s when he opens a Nintendo 64 for the first time and he's like, Look what I got! That was
would-
Hove when he got that picture.
I would vote Hove because if I was thinking the only one that I would think would come close would be Wilson, but
Yeah.
the thing is with Wilson's is it's such a chill, relaxed smile that it's not that big because it's just so chill, you know.
I might even forget to smile at that
Exactly.
point. Who knows?
Yeah, he's like, whatever.
Actually, that extends into my question. If you could pick one person to just spend a day smoking weed with, who would it be? This is just for Wilson, not you.
I was like, is this for the whole
I can
cast?
answer.
Dude, it'd be Jesus Christ for Wilson.
Joe Rogan,
Really?
hands down.
Over
Joe
like
Rogan.
Snoop and Willie Nelson and like
I mean, like they're
Cheech
cool,
and
but like,
Chong, like
but like, I don't know, man. I really like Joe Rogan's podcast and like the things that he talks about, and I feel like that if we sat down and sparked one, like yeah, the conversation would go on for a long time.
ask me that
He's-
question.
What, you want to spark one?
No, the question I just asked you.
Oh, who would you like to smoke weed with?
You, Wilson.
You
Let's
want to get
do-
high?
Let's do this. Let's
Oh,
do this. We'll
wow.
talk later.
No, for real. Like I get weekends off now, so if I come up there, we will just sit and smoke weed all day.
And play Destiny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So normal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like today.
But like in like the same state. even.
Yeah. 100%.
You
All
are in
right.
the same state though when you're high.
Did anyone? It's dark, but did anyone see the stupid little fucking eyebrow raise he did after he said
Yes,
that?
I did.
It's dark, but did anyone see?
He did that like.
He
There's
just
the fade out.
disappeared. He
There's
keeled
the
over
fade
and
out.
disappeared.
All right, Hostile Galaxy. Question for all. There is a right or wrong answer to this one, whether anyone agrees with me or not. Favorite preparation of a potato to eat? Example: baked, fries, tots, hash browns, etc. Also, hope everyone is having a great night.
Okay, I have the answer, and the answer is prepared by mailed to Hove with marker inscription that says "Get good."
Yeah.
Is that what it said?
Anonymous
I don't-
potato.
I don't
That's the
remember.
best.
No, it
asking
said
what
"Eat me."
Eat
No.
me.
Best potato, Lego is right, is the anonymous potato.
The anonymous potato. Do we know yet where that potato is from?
I still don't know. No.
Because it was
It's
right
like the-
before the Crucible showdown. Wendler kind of has a grin on his face right now, like
It wasn't.
Yeah.
It wasn't me.
He thought I was sending him a potato.
I thought he was sending me a potato.
This
which-
Christmas when I sent you and him Lego both gifts,
yeah.
similar gifts.
right.
I had your
Except mine
address,
was
so I was
better.
able to surprise you. I had to ask. Yeah, yours is good.
Wasn't like isn't it weird that we don't know who sent that potato to Hope yet?
No, I think that's what makes it amazing. If we
It's-
knew
But,
you
like,
were gonna
one
talk
day-
about
to
it.
acknowledge
One
it
day I
more
want to
time
know. Yeah.
that we don't
No.
know who sent it.
No, it can be like the 8th wonder of the world. Isn't there 7?
There's a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah,
the
China was the 9th
ninth
wonder.
power
Of the,
chest.
but
Whoever's listening, if you happen to have sent Hove a potato that said "Eat me," please at some point let us know.
Give us a call.
You know, in a few years,
Actually, KB Ninja just said, I'm betting it was Clawman.
maybe.
And I swear, the first time how I, like for Guardian Con or something the first year, I
Yeah.
like texted, I DM'd him my number or something. And I started getting texts of pictures of potatoes. This sound like this is one of those vague things that I think I remember.
but
and
you
then-
might have dreamed it, but
No,
you think you remember.
but I think someone started sending me someone I didn't know who it was sending me pictures of potatoes, and it turned out to be Claw. That might
weird.
actually. I'm gonna have to talk, but he would have told me. He would have been too proud of
would've
himself.
told you.
He would have been
Yeah,
too proud of
yeah.
himself.
He would have at Guardian Con be like, you get anything weird in the mail lately?
Exactly. Yeah.
He would have like
Yeah.
inferred it pretty hard.
Yeah,
All right.
that
Well,
is-
to answer the actual question, first of all, I changed the correct answer. There's a different correct answer, which I will tell you at the end. But what's your favorite way to prepare a potato to eat?
Mine's twice baked. But
God.
yeah,
Damn it!
pretty freaking good.
did I
Wait.
win?
Yeah, you can't all actually get the answer that I was gonna say was right.
Oh, really? Twice
I,
baked is so good.
I was thinking about that immediately. It was twice baked.
Well, the
It's
the
really
obvious,
good.
I feel like the jump to conclusions answer is fries, because like fries come with like everything and are delicious, and there's so many ways to make them. But man, if you make a good twice baked potato,
Yep.
Get some bacon bits on top.
well, you gotta have bacon.
Real bacon. What?
I think he just meant like bits
Even-
of bacon.
like-
Yeah, like bits
Bits
of
of bacon,
bacon.
yeah.
Okay, fair.
Triton,
I don't know. I mean, so if we're doing the twice baked potato, we do get to put the other stuff on it, right? I mean, so this isn't just like it's
it's the base potato. It's not like.
So you just have to eat the potato, like whatever form it is. So you can't dress it up in any way.
Yeah, you can put like butter and shit and bacon and cheese. It's not like
if your favorite way is twice baked, then it's just twice baked potato.
Yeah, I mean that's a way of preparing a potato.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. I was gonna say. I mean, fries is obvious, but I was gonna say tots initially when I first saw the question.
I'm not overrated.
I like tots.
Just bake it once and eat it, man. I got the munchies. I want it now.
Bro, have you ever had twice baked potatoes?
Potato?
Oh, Wilson's way of eating it is like, you know how they have that saying that's like the best camera is the one you have with you? It's like the best potato is the one that you can eat right away.
Which is Hove. Wait, eat right away?
What?
I was just gonna say the best potato is the one that's with you, and Hove's always the potato with
if
me.
we were like stranded on like a mountaintop and like we had to eat one another to live, like you could eat me.
If I die first, you could eat me, sort of thing?
Oh no, I would definitely die first.
You think so?
Yeah, dude. I'm fucking fat and out of shape.
Oh my god, that's...
At least he owns...
Wait, so what's the answer?
Never...
What?
What's your answer, Wilson?
What, for potato?
Yeah.
He said.
Just baked once, man. I'm too lazy to bake that shit.
Yeah,
no,
but that doesn't... You're not actually doing it. It's just being served to you right now.
Whatever's quickest, because I'm hungry as
They're
fuck.
all sitting in front of you, motherfucker. All men.
Then I'll eat them all. Then I'll eat them all.
Oh
Don't think
God,
I won't.
I'm done with you. You're off the podcast.
Except those Eaton Park fries that sucked. I wouldn't do those.
All right, we got another good question.
Fries.
Oh, also, Matt Grundy said, he put in all caps, you accidentally posted a picture of a boob. Lego is going to be so mad. I freaked the fuck out. I thought I posted a picture of titties. I went back.
Which is possible.
Which is definitely possible.
I thought you might have, and I
thought I might have. My heart stopped for a minute.
Freaked the fuck out.
All right, two more. Both good ones, but different. Gorniak, since it's going to be Pie Day today, what is your favorite pie and what is the most disgusting pie that you have tasted / eaten? And yes, pizza, Shepherd's, and pot. I think he means pot pie, Wilson. All count as pies. We all know Slick Dick Willie's favorite from that list.
Yeah.
Pie. Pizza pie.
Pot
yeah,
pie.
Pizza.
Although, Dutch apple pie is really fucking good too.
Yeah, those are pretty fire.
Good deep dish from Illinois is the move. So
No.
Illinois, not Chicago.
You know Chicago's in Illinois, right?
Oh yeah.
The best pizza on earth is Southern Wisconsin and Northern Illinois.
Now,
that is like
listen,
the pizza.
We don't have time for this debate.
Detroit style deep dish is a revelation. I will. Let's drive to Detroit. You want to go right now?
Yeah.
I'll pick you up.
We'll be there at 6 a.m. just in time.
Yeah, for breakfast. I got you.
Hit me up.
See, Cam knows Dutch apple pie is the key to... Dude, me and Cam are like food soulmates. He was very happy when I went on a Detroit-style deep dish rant. He said Dutch apple pie is the key to his heart.
Yeah.
Just saying. Most disgusting pie? Shepherd's pie, absolutely. That's gross.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say like...
Out
of like what I've had, I would say like meat pie. If you've ever had like meat pie. It's not that it's like disgusting.
Some people are into that.
Did you ever have fray pie?
I don't know what that is. It's something sexual.
You don't watch Game of Thrones?
No, I've never seen an episode of Game of Thrones.
Oh. All right, so we all agree that shepherd's pie is terrible?
Yeah.
It is terrible.
Sure.
Okay. All right, last question, but a good one. Atlas asks, you find yourself at a crossroads in life, age 28, which I found myself there a long time ago.
Yep.
Actually, this sounds like my life for the most part, now that I think about it. Anyway, you find yourself at a crossroads in life, age 28, not yet married, but willing. To your left is a happily married life. But your wife is atrocious at cooking, yet insists that you eat only home-cooked meals. No amount of cooking classes or recipes can help. To your right is a life of amazing cuisine. No dish is out of your reach, but no wife. Which road do you take? No, you can't choose the option where only you cook. Also, I've already, I did live that. As you guys know, I talk about all the delicious food I eat all the time, and I'm not married, so yeah, that's me already.
I choose the waifu with the the horrible cooking because I can't take care of myself. Horrible.
Yeah.
Bad.
But you don't have to. That's the whole point. You have it all.
I'm helpless. No, I need beyond food. I'm an emotional human being who
you
needs
can still
emotional
have friends.
support.
I'll hug you all the time.
Does home cooked meals mean
Triton,
the wife has to always cook the meals?
It's a great alternative. I'm just
Triton.
What would you say, Wilson? Or I mean, Wendy?
I said, does home cooked meals means the wife has to always cook?
Yes.
Or can I
She insists that she always. I answered both of those questions already. She will cook every meal. You can't cook. You have to eat her food every day, but she's
so
awful.
would she make like a terrible peanut butter and jelly sandwich?
Everything is terrible.
Everything. Okay, so
What do you consider terrible? Like a
you
PB&J,
hate it.
Like,
You hate it. It doesn't matter. You hate it.
so is it like rye bread?
Gosh.
Rye bread is
No,
delicious.
The ratio's all off.
Listen.
It's,
Okay.
it's soggy
Jewish
bread. It's
Jewish
spilling out
rye
the
bread
side.
is one of my favorite. Ham sandwich on Jewish rye bread, Saloni's specifically, bomb.
I'd go with the food,
Saloni's is
I
good.
think.
I'm telling Bethany.
Oh.
She's a great cook, so doesn't apply.
What was it today that you said something? Oh, so we'll get to it in a second, but the Endgame trailer came out today, and Lego said in my Discord, he's like, this is the most excited I've ever been in my entire life. And I was like, does your wife know about that?
Wasn't exact my phrasing, but
Um,
close. Yes.
We have a clip.
yeah.
Um,
Holy crap, I got chills. I don't know if I've ever been this excited for something.
for some, yeah. That was,
Lego hasn't been laid in a while. It's okay.
Wow, Wenny?
or that's just not what I'm excited about. What?
Everyone's excited. What?
So wait,
Wendler
so-
wants to be excited.
is everybody... Wilson's taking the wife. Me and Lego are taking the food. Wenny, you asked a bunch of stupid questions. What's your answer?
I would go with the food.
Triton?
It was tough for him.
Yeah, I mean, since I'm already good and married, I don't know why. I guess I'll just pick the food as an alternative.
No,
to think
you're
about.
28. You're 28. You're not married. You have the choice of getting married to a terrible cook, but you have to eat her food all day, every day. Or
So
living...
this like erases everything that I know. So this is like
Yes.
complete
yes.
alternative universe me.
Yep.
Okay. I don't know. I guess I'll
No,
just
whatever
pick
you
the
pick
food
cements you in stone for this life.
Yeah, like it's gonna change.
You'll go back in time.
This is like
and
a
it will
genie
place
in the
it.
bottle question.
Yeah, I guess I'll just pick the cooking then.
Wow, you sound...
Well, I mean, you know, it's like all theory. I'm like, well, now I'm thinking about all the things that I'd like to eat. It's like
Exactly.
really late, and I'm gonna have to watch a couple games after this, and I'm hungry.
Do you want to go to Eaton Park?
Exactly.
I mean, they do have that little ass TV there.
No, my answer is fuck you because I don't want to go with you.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, you've been really mean to me lately in DMs.
But I'm always meeting you in DMs. I don't know why that's
So that's all our questions for the week.
All right. Well, I think I know Hove wants to talk about in-game trailer.
No, the Division 2's out.
I was gonna bring up the Division 2.
And
Yeah.
that the Division 2 in-game.
No, I mean
There's-
like it's out. Like right now, I'm
No.
gonna go play it.
No, I know. Oh, okay. Yeah. Same, actually. But hey, actually, I wanted to bring up the Division 2 because I hear it's phenomenal. I hear that everybody's just digging it.
I will say, however, that if you, like me, are getting most of that feedback from the Rezo Discord, I think we're a little
right.
biased. I
That's
still think
true.
it looks great too,
As
but
as someone that went into it 50-50, like I was on the fence of if I was gonna buy the gold edition or not to get the 3 days early access.
I hate you for that, by the way.
Because one of my biggest concerns with playing the private beta was that builds weren't significant. Like they were stepping back from like the looter shooter and going more into the pure RPG. And they've stated a lot of times that they took things from Wildlands and implemented that into the Division along with their already existing improvements, which Wildlands in that same sense, I felt like there wasn't really anything I was gaining long term. I feel like it was just, yeah, you go in, you kill some things, and you're done. But from playing through the actual full game, like once you pass through the stuff you played in beta, the amount of depth that's there and enjoyment. Like one of the things TV tweeted out earlier today where the game never pulls you out. Like Anthem, for example, you hit with a loading screen. loading screen, loading screen, loading screen. And when you're playing Anthem alone, you're like, I can deal with it because you get back into the action. But with Division, in like Division 1, for example, you'd hit a safe room, that would be your loading screen, and then you'd leave. But with Division 2, everything is just through. Like, mission starts, there's no loading. Safe rooms, there's no loading. So you're always in that action. It never pulls you out except for like fast traveling. But everything is just in one sequence. And then there's other like things that are just good quality of life changes. Like Division 1, when you're in the free roam, it felt like there was a lot of busy work. You had to go through the medic clinics, you had to go through and clear all the little clinics out to get your points to upgrade your base. Where in Division 2, it's just you get like the different central bases, but it's just side missions and main story missions. And then there's like public event-esque things that go on in between. So it's a lot more, you don't feel like you're doing things for nothing. You don't feel like this is a waste of time. It's more like this is a progression.
That's cool.
So
sweet. Well, I think that's it for this week. I'm sure we'll dive in more to Division 2 as we get more Rezo guys on, because we've had a ton, and we didn't mention it last week, but we've had a ton of new recruits that are specifically playing Division 2, which is really cool that Resolute's going to have a presence over there. I think we did talk about it for a second, maybe last week.
I think we talked about how we forgot to talk about it.
Yeah, okay. But yeah, excited to see a big Resolute presence over there. And I'm sure we'll have some people on to talk about it. And to talk about all the other gaming stuff going on right now, because right now is huge. Actually, I just saw a trailer, which I don't know if anybody else here is interested in it, but Battlefield 5 is releasing their Battle Royale Firestorm, and I'm pretty excited for that, actually.
I do want to say, again, maybe a little bit biased, because I know many more people who have been excited for the Division 2. Mm-hmm. But I think if the Division 2 does as well as it seems it's going to, I think Anthem might end up being in a little bit of trouble.
Like they already are. They already are in trouble.
Like,
right, but like
been paying attention, they already are.
It's yeah, right. Trouble. But there's always like Division 1 was in a lot of trouble. Like it was bad off the bat, but nothing really like it didn't have something similar to it coming out right away.
I would honestly say like right now, based on my Division experience, because like I was always one to give Anthem the benefit of the doubt and say just give it time. Like I was very outspoken about Anthem is a great game, give it time. But once you play Division 2, it really puts the 2 and 2 in perspective. And there, especially with the recent problems on Reddit regarding loot was buffed, loot was debuffed again, loot was buffed, loot was debuffed. You have other issues. Like I would say right now is kind of a warning point. And the like Anthem's next major drop that's like significant is May. So
right, but I'm just saying, like, it's obviously for the amount of time it's been out, yes, it's been a terrible launch. It's not going well right now, but games can all, like, you know, Destiny was bad off the bat. Not to compare, like, how bad, but I'm just saying Division 1 was bad off the bat. But, like, they slowly made comebacks. Like, Titanfall, even though it was good, released at a bad time. I think that's even bigger. So they're having a lot of trouble right now, but I don't think it'll be definitive until you after you see like the Division 2 launch and what they do from there on out. Like it's definitely in trouble for right now, but I'm talking long term. Yeah. Like No Man's Sky style, like super hyped and then just pooped, like done.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Like I hear nothing. And like I said, still a little biased because we have a lot of people playing the Division, but I hear nothing about Anthem like you did for the first week or so.
Yeah. Well, the other thing that sucks for Anthem, and they had one of their devs go on Reddit. There's a huge Reddit thread that wasn't really blasting the devs, but they were asking major questions like, where's the communication? Why isn't this been addressed? You're addressing this, but not this. And it's become super harsh for the devs. Like one of the community leads said, like, we would love to be more open, but we can't. And anytime we do comment on something, we're just getting flamed. So they just don't feel, it's pretty much turning into what Destiny's forums have turned into for Destiny devs. And even Deej today had to come out and make a point because a bunch of people were getting irritated that no names were getting invited to the summit again.
Oh gosh.
And so Deej even had to come out today and say, we always take information. Like there's people that are coming to the studio that you don't hear about because they don't have a following, but that's important. And people need to like center themselves. And it's honestly sad that these devs have to say this.
Yeah,
like
it
there were even people claiming from the Gambit Prime bounties that they were fake accounts because Bungie devs don't have the time to play on their own accounts, and they had to defend the fact that they were personal accounts. Like it's just so childish at this point with the power of the internet and how people can get their opinions out there, that like you can't get honest feedback for the most part. And when you try to, it's just
a really great example of that is that this is what, your third or fourth time on a podcast that airs live. People getting their opinion out over the internet. Never mind.
Oh yeah. I mean,
well, Wendler, thanks for joining us for this episode, man. I'm sure Triton could have a lot to say about Anthem and the Division coming up, since I know you've been hitting Anthem hard, Triton, and have probably a lot of opinions about that. But we are also getting long with this episode, so I want to go ahead and shut it down for this week. But do want to hear more about all of this, because there's a lot out right now. There's a lot going on. And we didn't even get to talk about the summit for D2. Like, they're doing another one for Season of Opulence is what people announced it for. But yeah, we'll talk about all that next week. We'll have Tier 3 out. We'll know what the Invitation to the 9 even are. Maybe we'll see how this season progresses story-wise too. So yeah, thanks for joining us, everyone, this week. This has been Lego, aka Legole Flash. You can find me on Twitch, YouTube at Lego LE Flash. I've just blend all those words together now. Hope where can I find you?
Twitter, Twitch. Yeah, that's it. Hove76, HOV76. That's it. Triton.
You can find me mostly on Twitter under Triton Please, all one word, the please being PLZ. How about you, Wilson?
You can find me on Twitter at Ryu Wilson. That's RYU Wilson. Hit me up. Wenny?
You can find me on Twitter at Wendler34 and everywhere else, Twitch, YouTube at Wendler.
Nice. Well, you can also find more about RezoCast at Twitter, more about Team Resolute at Team Resolute on Twitter. And I want to real quick thank our sponsors, Blue Microphones and Headphones, for sponsoring our podcast, hooking us up with these awesome microphones. Even Wendler's using one.
Where'd you get that one, Wenny?
Those guys.
I won it from a giveaway. Haha, smile.
So we do giveaways, as you can see here from Wendler, and then also you can use code RezoCast to get 20% off at bluemic.com.
If you listen to this, pay attention. What's today? The 14th?
Yes. Yeah.
So in the next 2 weeks, we're gonna have 3 giveaways.
Whoa.
Nice. That's gonna be a lot.
They may not all be the same place, so pay attention.
So yeah, be sure to keep up at RezoCast for sure. And I think that's it for this week. Until next time, y'all. GG.
GG.
GG's.
GG's.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.